everybody, it's episode 330 of PodQuest.
Hey!
It's Wednesday, December 16th, 2020. I am Chris. With me is Druten.
Hello.
And Walnut.
I'm here.
How you guys doing?
Oh boy, 9 pages. I'm good.
I'm doing alright.
Wait, what's 9 pages?
The outline is 9 damn pages. I was just scrolling up and down it, and it was just like 3 of 9. I'm like, fuck!
It's a lot of just filler, let's be honest.
Yeah.
It was a busy week this week for things happening.
Yeah,
Not necessarily for us. I didn't really do much of anything. But it was a busy week otherwise.
Yeah, which is very uncommon for the end of the year.
Yeah, the one thing we're going to talk about today is the Game Awards. That always happens, around this time each year. But, that was packed on with, the Nintendo thing, and the Disney thing, and Cyberpunk being a fucking just dumpster fire.
Yes.
So, yeah. And then, and for us in New Jersey, we're getting a winter storm today.
Which is nice. I got to watch it snow while I was inside warm doing some work.
Man, those snowflakes, very large.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, near the end of it, they were just, super heavy, round, softball-sized snowflakes.
Yeah, and unfortunately, by the time we got ready to walk the dogs, it had started to transition from those to sleet. Mm-hmm. So, it was still snowing, but it was also hitting us with frozen rain in the face.
Yeah.
Not fun.
Not at all. Not even a little bit. But I guess we will get into it. So I already fucking said it. The Game Awards happened this week. Last week, whatever. It was Thursday, the 10th? Yeah, the 10th.
Yeah.
Most of this stuff happened on the 10th. So The Last of Us Part 2 basically won all of the awards.
7 awards in total.
Yeah, so they got Game of the Year, Game Direction, Narrative, Audio Design, Innovation and Accessibility, Action Adventure Game, and Laura Bailey won for her performance as Abby.
Which, honestly, I agree with all of those. I didn't play a few of the games that were on the Game of the Year, but I probably the close runner-up would have been Ghost of Tsushima if I had played it and known exactly how it is. But I agree that this was a fantastic game. I may not have liked the ending, but it was still a fantastic game.
Yeah, as far as the innovation and accessibility goes, I don't have any disability that requires me to have those settings, but I did mess around with them a whole bunch, and they are really cool. The amount of just tweaking you can do to that game to make it fit your play style is it was good. It was very good.
Yeah, I heard it. They did a lot for that.
Yeah, it got very minute with being able to turn up things and turn down so if you didn't want the survival aspect of it where you're constantly scrounging for ammo and parts and everything, but you wanted a very difficult combat and stealth mechanic, you could crank up item availability and then also turn up AI aggressiveness and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of The Last of Us winning 7 awards, a bunch of other games also won multiple awards. So Final Fantasy VII Remake won for score and music and RPG. Among Us
makes sense.
Yeah. Among Us won mobile game and multiplayer game.
Which
also makes sense.
I find funny that games like Among Us and No Man's Sky, not as much No Man's Sky, but Among Us, are on here when Among Us is 3 years old.
Yeah, but it really just kind of got noticed this year.
I understand that, but it's still it makes me laugh that Among Us is 3 years old before it got noticed, and so now you're giving it an award 3 years after it was created. But there's games that couldn't be in the Game Awards last year or this year because of how they were released. But Among Us could be 3 years old.
So if they were released after the point for it last year, they could have been included this year. They probably just weren't good enough.
No, Pokemon Sword and Shield couldn't have been included in the previous or the following years.
I thought it could have been included this year, but
if I remember correctly, they said that Pokemon Sword and Shield is not going to be viable for last year's or this year's. Not at all. I'd have to go back to last year's podcast when we were talking about it or look it up. But my memory is hitting me that I believe it was Pokemon Sword and Shield was not allowed to be on either one.
You may be right, but also, for mobile game and multiplayer game, there just weren't that many that fit in those categories that people really played right now.
Sure. I don't play a lot of mobile games at all. Multiplayer game I play a lot more, and there are a decent amount of multiplayer games. Like, Squadrons
No.
came out this year.
But that's the thing, like, this
But
is strictly multiplayer. Like,
But
it's...
critics didn't like Squadrons. Like, that game
too.
did not review well.
It didn't? I mean, I didn't look at reviews.
But you figure, like, Avengers doesn't count as a multiplayer game because it's got an entire single-player campaign.
Yeah, I mean, that would be more so for ongoing, but I don't think it should have, or even been in the category of ongoing right now because it literally just released. But next year, ongoing makes sense. And that, to me, like, ongoing or new innovations each year makes sense, which is why No Man's Sky, although it's 5 years old, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I want to say it was 2015 when it came out.
Yeah.
Wow,
So, like, to
really?
me,
Damn.
I got it for my
Maybe
birthday.
2016?
I got it for my birthday.
It was
Yeah.
an August release.
Yeah, I think it's like 3 to 5 years ago.
2016. So,
Yeah.
August 9th, 2016 is when it came out.
So,
Okay.
yeah, 4 years ago.
Let's see, what else do we have? Drew, for you, Hades won indie game and action game.
I'm actually slightly surprised it did not win Game of the Year.
I'm not. Like, people liked it, but people didn't like it the same way they liked... Or it didn't get as much attention as The Last of Us or Ghost of Tsushima did.
I mean, The Last of Us, maybe. I feel like it got more attention than Ghost of Tsushima.
No, it definitely didn't. Like, people liked it. Like, people talked about it a lot, but not in, like, the voting circles, and not...
Oh, it's got a, 20 better, or 15 better Metacritic score than Ghost of Tsushima.
I mean, yeah, but we've talked about it before. Metacritic doesn't really mean much.
Well, I mean, I only use it in this argument because the voting, to relate it to the voting, because the voting is mostly done by industry reviewers. So it's not going to be a 1-to-1 ratio per se, but you can get a good idea of the way things will go for some of that.
I mean, the other thing to remember with the Game Awards, the way that they end up doing it is like an organization as a whole gets a certain amount of votes. Right. So, like, Giant Bomb may only get one, I don't know what they get, but they may get one vote that their whole staff has to agree on. Or that just Jeff has to agree on if he's the one that's, making the vote. But, I remember Kind of Funny talking about it before, where there were, 6 of them at the time. They got one vote as a group that they all had to agree on. And, frankly, I know between us, Richie and I didn't play Hades, probably never will. We would have voted Last of Us, whereas you would have voted Hades.
I mean, I also wouldn't have voted for Hades because it came out December 6th, 2018.
No, it didn't. In early access, yes, but its official release was this September.
Okay, official release.
Its 1.0 was in September.
Okay, early access from December 18th, 2018. But, I mean, I didn't play it. It is a game that I'm interested in. I didn't play it, and I think that might also have something to do with it. Not that I didn't play it, but, it came out September, whereas Last of Us came out, was it May? June?
It was June.
Yeah. So, there had been a lot more time for, the player base and the voter base to maybe play a lot more of Last of Us than they did play.
Yeah, but the fan vote doesn't really count for much in this. In this, it's kind of like the Academy Awards. It's the industry's vote that actually has the weight to it.
Yeah,
the fan vote is worth 1 point.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, a lot more of the industries that were doing the voting, they had a lot more time with Last of Us than they did with Hades. They might have really liked Hades, but they maybe had a lot more time to look deep into Last of Us and realize how good of a game it was and how much more deserving it may have been over Hades. Not saying Hades doesn't deserve it, I'm just saying that maybe Last of Us deserved it a little bit.
Oh, no, I don't disagree that, I don't think The Last of Us should not have won.
Yeah.
But I would not have been shocked if Hades. If any other game other than those two had won, I'd have been shocked.
There's a lot of people out there that are saying that Ghost of Tsushima was robbed and that Last of Us Part 2 should not have won at all. And I'm maybe.
But that's people that hated what they did with Last of Us Part 2. That's the vocal minority that hated how that game started.
Yeah, and it's the nerds that drive me nuts. The nerds that hate one single aspect of a game, so they hate the entire game. I said it right at the beginning of this. I was not a fan of how it ended. Was not a fan. But
so
I thought it was a really good game, and I really enjoyed playing it, and it deserves, but like, me personally, I don't think it was that good of an ending, but I'm not gonna make that, my thoughts on the ending, tarnish my thoughts on the full game.
But I mean, that's the problem with people, especially when the internet's involved. Like, there was somebody, I don't know what outlet she works for, but she criticized Cyberpunk like last week before it was actually out for not having proper like seizure warnings and stuff like that in there because the game gave her a fucking seizure.
Yeah.
And then people proceeded to send her videos to try and make her have another seizure because she dared criticize a game that they wanted to play that wasn't out yet.
Yeah, which is, like, I fucking hate the internet and nerds generally, but mostly just the internet. But, like, it drives me nuts that, like, people do this stuff and people will, like, try to force seizures on someone, force medical issues on someone because they didn't like or were upset about an aspect of a game. Which CD Projekt Red has fixed by providing more frequent seizure warning.
So, did they actually finally incorporate that?
They updated a lot of stuff recently, within the past few days.
Okay, I hadn't seen that yet.
At least I saw that they added the seizure warnings.
That game is apparently still a giant disaster at the moment if you're playing on anything other than a high-end PC or maybe next-gen hardware.
You know what? It's really good to play on, apparently?
Stadia. You know what was happening, though? If you tried to play it on Stadia, people were getting booted from the game because too many people were trying to play on Stadia. They were basically... It was like playing WoW back in the day. They were queuing people to have time to play.
Wow.
But just real quick before we get back into like the rest of this list, just to kind of go in the opposite direction of people being really shitty. Yesterday, former IGN person Alana Pierce did a stream where she basically got sponsored by some like charity company or like company that works with charities to go to like small streamers that were streaming for charity and just dump money into their charity goal. So like she hit probably like 10 to 12 streams, I think it was, and gave them generally enough money to match or beat their goal.
Mm-hmm.
And like giving like thousands of dollars to them.
Yeah.
And then just watching these people as they realize like this one stream, and like Rich, you may actually enjoy what they were. So the one stream she went on to, they were streaming a Pokemon D&D campaign.
Okay.
Huh.
And she went on there and donated $2,000. And then after the donation goes in, she was waiting for them to notice it. And they didn't. They just kept kind of going. And then like 2 minutes in, after she had also shared the link to the stream and they went from one viewer, which was her, to 400 views, the person that was running the stream, the DM, like cut the video. Apparently it was a pre-recorded campaign. Okay. So they weren't doing the campaign live, but he cut into it and was just like, I don't know what the fuck just happened. Like, no one was here, and now there's a ton of people here, and we hit our goal their goal was 500. She gave them 2,000.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And like people were just like people were crying and like losing it because like they were all streamers that had less than 50 people.
Yeah.
To then have hundreds of people donating to like the charity thing they were doing, following them and subscribing to them and shit. Like It was very wholesome.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Anyway, so couple other ones on here worth mentioning. Most anticipated was Elden Ring, the From Software game that George R.R. Martin is working on with them.
Okay.
Games for Impact was Tell Me Why, which I'm glad they won something. I really like that game. Ongoing, like you said before, it was No Man's Sky. And sport or racing game, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1+2.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, and Ghost of Tsushima did win for art direction, and Animal Crossing won for family game.
Mm-hmm.
Like Fall Guys won some stuff, Phasmophobia.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, Animal Crossing is the other thing that was in the year that I thought.
I think if Animal Crossing hadn't died off as hard as it did in like the midsummer, it probably would have had a better chance.
Yeah. From what I've heard, like the event stuff that happened after the launch kind of soured people on it a little bit.
My issue wasn't like the event stuff was definitely too little too late, because the swimming isn't very fun. It's really repetitive for a game like Animal Crossing that's
And
super
tedious.
repetitive and tedious. I don't want to sit there tapping A constantly in a rhythmic fashion just so I can swim at a decent speed. And I don't want to have to chase friggin' sea critters for 10 minutes because it takes that fucking long to catch them. Like, it's just, I didn't like it. And the fact that they waited until October, November to include new storage that you have to buy from the fucking crook, Tom Nook, I haven't touched the game since, October. I had no bugs to catch in November, and now I have some bugs and fish I need to catch to finish up my dexes, but besides that, I really don't have any push to play the game right now.
Yeah, no, I haven't. Like, Erica hasn't played it in, like, 2 months either, like, and I think she was playing it the longest out of everyone that we had in that group chat.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, yeah, at a certain point, like, she went back to Stardew, and she's been playing Stardew since then. But,
Yeah, I mean, it's, like, I'm sure a new player jumping into it right now, there's enough substance, and with the things that were added, that, like, it would be a good play for a few months, for, like, 6 months or so. But, like, waiting so long, in my opinion, for the art collector and the other things that they added into the game, it's just, it kind of killed it for me. Like, I lost interest in trying to collect art, especially the way they do the art.
Mhm.
Yeah, and, like, I don't know. I enjoyed the game for what it was. At a certain point, it just, like, I didn't enjoy, like, a lot of the stuff that other people did. Like, I didn't care about the art. I didn't want to fish or do the flower breeding or any of that stuff. I just liked getting the new stuff and, like, putting it in my house, basically.
Yeah.
So once I kind of ran out of that to do, it just became a lot of logging in once a week, running around, digging up fossils, pulling weeds, and then being done with it.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point, it's like an extra week went by, and I'm like, oh, well, now it's 2 weeks. I'll go back eventually.
And it's like, well, why am I doing this? Like, it gets to that point. Like, why am I doing this? Why am I playing Animal Crossing right now? I have my island set up the way I want it. I don't have any new ideas. There's not really a point for me to continue playing. Like,
Yeah, and
yeah.
I think if that game had come out at a different time, people would have probably played it longer, but not as much.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because I think the problem was it came out at the start of the pandemic when everyone was just like, all right, well, we're just going to stay home and not go anywhere for however long this is. And
a lot more people were out of work than ever before. That, like, all they had to do was sit around and play Animal Crossing, even during work hours.
Yeah, and so the amount of people that bought Animal Crossing at launch was higher than it would have been otherwise. And then the amount of people that continued to play it and played it a lot, like, Animal Crossing is definitely the game on my Switch that I have the most time into. But that's because I was playing it for at least half an hour to an hour every day, doing all, like, the like upkeep stuff.
Yeah.
And that's not including the first couple of weeks where it was like, all right, well, I'm literally just going to play this all day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's just like, there's even stuff that, like, I wish they had updated to make the game a little bit more time, like, a little less time sensitive. Like, I want to be able to upgrade bridges and not have to delete a bridge and then place a bridge and take 3 days for a fucking bridge.
Yeah, some of that stuff was definitely frustrating too.
Like, if they had fixed that stuff, maybe I'd go into it sooner, or go back to it to, like, rebuild my island. Or if they made terraforming less, repetitive as well, and let me just use the touchscreen and a map to actually build my island, rather than, like, having to just scoop up the dirt and scoop in the water or whatever. Like, there are a lot of things they could have done to make it better to where I would be more interested in it. I don't know about other people, but, like, make it something that, like, I don't know, it's just everything they've done, like I said, it's just too little too late.
Yeah, no, I agree. And just even being I know you said not having to wait, like, 3 days to be able to, like, demolish a bridge and, like, put one up. Just being able to move something.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'm sorry, not just move something, because you can move, like, the houses and all. But, like, being able to move it, like, minutely. Because as it stands, if, like, say you have a house and you realize, like, oh, shit, that's, like, 3 spaces too far up from where I want it, you then have to pay them to move it someplace completely away from where it is now. Wait a day for that to happen, and then go drop it again and hope that you lay it in the right spot.
Yeah, and it's just like the game was fun for what it was, but I'm not surprised it didn't win Game of the Year, and I personally don't think it was really deserving to even be nominated for Game of the Year. It was a big game, but there was not enough substance to it, even at launch, for me to think that it should have been in Game of the Year.
That's fair. Overall, though, like the awards were good, especially for being like not entirely remote, because like Jeff Keighley was in some sort of like theater, or at least he had a set behind him that was not just like a green screen in his house.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you know, all the presenters and everyone were remote. They had definitely had some bigger musical acts than they've had in the past. Like they had fucking Eddie Vedder.
Okay,
right.
Yeah, and it was like not only did they have Eddie Vedder, they had Troy Baker introduce Eddie Vedder. Because of and I didn't realize this. One of the songs that he does in one of The Last of Us is a Pearl Jam song.
Yeah.
I don't like Pearl Jam, so I never knew that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they had like their normal like handful of musical acts. Reggie was there to give away an award, you know, all the normal stuff.
Yeah.
And like the people that won, like in a lot of cases, like seemed like genuinely like excited for it. Like especially like the Among Us team, because they're like a small team. There was 4 of them, 3 of them in a room, and then the 4th person, somebody just had like FaceTimed on their phone and was just like holding it up to the camera. But like the girl on the team that was reading like their like acceptance speech, like you could tell like she was like having trouble like keeping it together. Because like Rich, like you said, that game came out 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And like suddenly this year became like the biggest fucking thing.
And they're already making Among Us, like they had Among Us 2 in the process of being made when this game got big. So,
yeah, I mean, they canceled it, and then I think they uncanceled it after that.
No.
Is it still, it's still officially canceled at the moment?
Yeah, that's why, I mean, they've instead made a new map for Among Us. They're working on updating things, colorblind settings and stuff like that.
Okay, for some reason I thought that I seen that they uncanceled it, but like it was pushed way out.
Not as far as I know. Instead, they're just leaning into making Among Us 1 better.
Which, I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so other than the awards, there were also the announcements. And there are a lot of announcements. Frankly, there are more announcements at this thing than there are like awards given in some cases, especially because some of the awards are given like pre-show, kind of like back to back to back.
Yeah. And I feel like that might also be because this is kind of the new E3. Like E3 wasn't that big of a deal this year.
There wasn't one.
Well, there wasn't one, but like even before, like they had to cancel because of the pandemic, a lot of big developers had dropped out already anyway. So that like there's more announcements now here because everyone's paying attention to this, and a lot of people don't really care about E3 anymore.
So part of the reason too why there are so many announcements and there's such a focus on it is because that is how they pay for the show.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're not paying like EA to show EA titles. Like EA is giving them money to do this in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that, I'm just going to start running through the list. If there's stuff to say about it, we'll stop and chat. So Sephiroth is coming to Smash Brothers.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys watched the reveal trailer. Probably one of the coolest Smash Brothers things I've ever seen.
Oh, it is by far the best reveal trailer ever, in my opinion. He fucking killed the god of Smash. Like, one strike, he killed the god of Smash.
I mean, he does that, and then there's that scene where he impales Mario on his sword.
Yeah.
And, like, it's like the silhouette view, so you just see the sword sticking through Mario, and then it zooms in, and it shows that it actually just went through his suspender.
Yeah.
I'm just like, man, that is a level of violence, or like, assumed violence I would not have expected from a Nintendo title.
Which, like, the way they went about this, I'm surprised he's not the final DLC character. I think there's one more.
Yeah, people think it's going to be Sora from Kingdom Hearts. You're like, I played those games, I fucking hate Sora.
No, it's not that. It's not I hate Sora. Right now, there's 3 more characters left. So we've had Min Min, Steve and Alex, and now Sephiroth, and there's 3 more characters. For them to, like, do what they did with that reveal trailer, with him basically killing the god of Smash, like, how do you outdo that?
Yeah, short of them putting Goku in, like everybody seems to want, like, I don't know if you could do another trailer that like, would live up to that hype.
Yeah. And it's just, like Pack 1 had Joker, Hero, Banjo-Kazooie, Terry Stupid Name, and Bayleth, who was from, what was it?
Fire Emblem Three Houses. And
Fire
also,
Emblem.
why do you hate Terry?
I just hate his last name.
Why?
Terry Bogard. I hate it. I've also never played King of Fighters. I think that's what he's from.
Yes.
I'm not a big fighting game guy. I don't like him. I just don't. I think his name is dumb. And that's most of it. But like,
Hero is fine.
I mean, look, Hero is from more entertaining games, in my opinion, and more games
or
that
Minecraft Steve.
Oh, this is what I was getting to before you cut me off. My big thing is, right now, the only character I really want Fighter Pass 2 for is Sephiroth. They have not made a character worthy of me getting the Fighter Pass. Steve and fucking Alex, fuck that. Min, okay, I never played ARMS. I'm not surprised that they threw, like, an ARMS character in there. But, like, Sephiroth is really the only one in this pack so far that I'm willing to, like, put money towards. And it's just, like, so far it's just been a letdown, this pack. Whereas the first pack, like, 4 out of 5 hits for me, yes, absolutely number 1. But this one, it's been 1 in 3 so far.
Well, why don't you just start liking more games?
I mean, the games you're telling me to like is Minecraft.
Yeah, you should like Minecraft and King of Fighters.
It's not even that I don't like Minecraft. It's just that I think that was like a stupid Minecraft Steve. Like, fuck that. Like, I just hate it. I hate it so much. And I've seen him used in Smash because I have friends who have him and we've played against him. I think he's dumb. I hate it.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I get that. Anyway, BioWare showed 2 things at this little award ceremony. The first one they showed off was Dragon Age probably 4. We don't know what it's actually going to be called. It was a cinematic trailer. I know this has been in the works for a while. Like, I think the Game Awards has actually shown Dragon Age stuff maybe last year or the year before. I don't really know a lot about these games though. So, like, it looked nice.
I only played the second Dragon Age, which a lot of people hate. I thought it was good. I wasn't a really big fan of the first Dragon Age combat style, which is why I didn't play it. But people hated the second one because of the new combat style. But I hear Inquisition made it better. But I never got around to playing it, so I really can't say much about it either.
I liked the first one, but I kept falling off of it fairly early for, like, no particular reason. It was just, like, other stuff would come up.
Same.
And not even necessarily game stuff, just, like, life in general.
Yeah.
And then I never tried 2. I did try Inquisition and couldn't get into it, mostly because of I don't know, like, the beginning of the game didn't really hook me, and there's a point where it's like, alright, well, just go here. And when you follow their route, it takes you through an area where the enemies are, like, 15 levels higher than you in just one hit. Like, you're supposed to know, like, oh no, you can't actually just go the path we're telling you. You actually have to, like, circumvent all of this. And I'm just like, yeah, no thanks.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Yeah.
If that's the way this game's gonna play it, I don't want to play this. But apparently, like, people are speculating or reading into it that I guess there were hints at old characters returning for this one. I don't know any of that, so I can't really confirm or deny.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't watch the trailer, but it could even just be a remaster of the first 2, maybe?
Nah, they have explicitly said it's
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, you could tell this was a new game. Like, this looks too good to be a remaster of any of them. But, like, there are characters that carried through, like, the first 2 games at the very least, so they might just be going back to that area or era or whatever.
I think the second game took place, like, a week after the first or something like that. Or it might have been taking place during the same time as the first, and the third one took place, like, a short while after the second one. So, like, they all do connect really close.
Yeah. The other thing that BioWare showed was something like a Mass Effect cinematic teaser. So you see a little bit of, like, discarded N7 armor, and then you also see an Asari, and people assume it's going to be Liara from the first and second and third games. like the original trilogy. I'm pretty sure Asari can live for like over 1,000 years, though.
Yeah, they live for a long time.
So this game could literally be taking place at any point from the end of Mass Effect 3 to hundreds of years after Andromeda.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, technically, it could be taking place in the same time as Andromeda, just in the current galaxy, our galaxy.
That's what I mean. Like, it could be taking place anywhere from the end of Mass Effect 3 through several hundred years after Andromeda. So, like, any time in between, it could be happening.
Well, isn't Andromeda, like, actually several hundred years after Mass Effect 1? Because it took them...
It's about 600 years after Mass Effect 3.
Yeah.
So, but you figure, like, Liara was about 100, if I remember correctly, in the original games. So if she could live to be 1,000... like, she'd only be about 700 by the time Andromeda happens. Mm-hmm. So, you know, there's a lot of possible time frame where this game could happen.
I mean, it could just be a random Asari that takes lead this time instead of human.
And that's entirely possible too, but it's just to show the N7 armor and then show an Asari, kind of like, if they're not teasing that character, that seems a little weird, because people are very fond of the original trilogy, not fond of Andromeda, don't necessarily want more from that era. Like, they'd want some sort of tie to that original trilogy, since, you know, they can't necessarily just continue the original trilogy.
Yeah. I mean, unless Shepard didn't actually die.
No, he's dead. And honestly, that little teaser, it ends with just Mass Effect will continue, because we didn't fucking know that all.
I mean, it kind of makes sense that, like, they're saying, like, Mass Effect will continue and probably working off of the original trilogy, because they are doing a remaster of the original trilogy.
Yeah, it comes out in the spring.
Yeah, so, like, it kind of makes it like, hey, remember these games you guys really liked minus the ending of the very last one? Well, we're going to continue from that and maybe rectify that ending that you which I don't think even the fixed ending.
But we are probably a lot of fucking years away from seeing this. Like, this game is probably further out than, like, Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah.
Because frankly, like, they pulled basically everyone off of everything they were working on to try and fix Anthem. And then Dragon Age is going to come out before a Mass Effect game. Considering we've yet to see any actual gameplay or content of a Dragon Age game, it's just been these cinematic trailers. That game's not anywhere near coming out. So, you know, maybe that game's a 2022 game, and Mass Effect's like a 2024, 2025 game. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, it's stupid to have shown that. Like, it's, like, great, there's going to be more Mass Effect, but, like, now people are just going to be like, where's Mass Effect? When are we going to get more Mass Effect?
Every E3 and Game Awards, it's like, oh, is this going to be Mass Effect? Oh, are we going to have Mass Effect announcement? It's, no.
Yeah, exactly. Microsoft showed off that they have their studio, The Initiative, that they started up in 2018 to make quadruple A games, is working on a Perfect Dark reboot. Mm-hmm. So the studio lead for The Initiative is Daryl Gallagher, who is a former studio head for Crystal Dynamics. And then that whole team is a lot of veterans from some of the biggest studios. So you've got Naughty Dog, Crystal Dynamics, Rockstar, BioWare, Sony Santa Monica, Respawn, Blizzard. I think Insomniac was on that list too. That's a hell of a fucking team to be working on a game.
Yeah.
And, like, they've worked on a bunch of different types of games. God of War, Red Dead, Sunset Overdrive, Tomb Raider. So, like, this could be a really cool game, or it could just be another generic shooter from a Microsoft internal team. Mm-hmm. So, who fucking knows, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the cool thing would be, and I think they talked about this on the Bombcast too. The cool thing would be if they made this game not just another shooter. Like, give it some sort of spin on it.
Yeah. I mean, I've never really played Perfect Dark. Or not never really, I've never played Perfect Dark, so I don't really know how they... I think it was an espionage type game, but...
No, it was a first-person shooter.
Well, like, first-person
espionage. It's a
espionage.
GoldenEye. No, I mean, as much as GoldenEye was an Ash game, like, it's the sequel to GoldenEye.
Yeah, it would like spiritual sequel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they didn't have the license anymore.
Like they're very well thought of games. Like people do enjoy them. You know, I mean, they're 20 years old, so they don't exactly hold up as well. But I think the sequel came out in the early 2000s, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it a 360 launch title or very early 360?
Oh shit, it was 360,
it was,
wasn't it?
Yeah.
I forgot that it was a 360 game.
Because it was after Microsoft bought Rare.
Right. Oh wow, so I also forgot how late in the N64 cycle that it came out. The first one was in 2000.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And then Perfect Dark was
November 22nd, 2005. So
oh, is it?
title
It's
for the
called
360.
That's right. It is not Perfect Dark 2. It's Perfect Dark 0.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was looking at the timeline. I'm just like, where's fucking 2? Why does it just go 1 and then 0?
Because there has not been a Perfect Dark game in 15 years.
Oh, that's right. And they released that remaster in 2010 on 360.
Right. I forgot that was a...
But still, I mean, that's just a remaster of a game from 2000. So, but yeah, I think it would actually be cool, like they said on the Bombcast, if they didn't just make it a first-person shooter, because frankly, like, Xbox has a lot of that already. Like, it can be a first-person shooter, but like, give it something else.
Yeah.
But that studio's only been around for 2 years. That game's definitely a ways off, and they actually said it's still in early development. So, Hazelight announced It Takes Two. They're the team that made Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons, and A Way Out, the like very heavy co-op games.
Okay.
This one, it's like your characters become like storybook characters basically, and it's like a husband and wife, I believe. And it's another co-op game where like both characters have to kind of like do their own things to be able to get both of them through the game. And I actually forgot to check on this, but they might be doing the same thing they did with A Way Out, where if you purchase a copy of this game, you get like a copy for a friend sort of thing, where like you can play this game with somebody else. Which like that's cool. Rich, this one is for you. There was a Monster Hunter Rise trailer, and then they announced that there's going to be a limited time demo for January 2021.
Yeah. The demo's January 2021. I found out this weekend also the game is console and launch exclusive on the Switch, but then goes to PC in like July or something.
So anyone that buys it with Switch that you play with will then get it on PC and you'll never get to play again?
Yeah, I already told him that. I was like, I already know that I'm going to be left in the dust because I'm not going to have a new PC by then. Probably not going to have a new PC by then. Who knows? Just real quick, double checked. It comes with a Friends Pass, that allows the owner of the game to invite another person to join online co-op with them for free.
Okay. That's what I thought. I wasn't sure how exactly it worked, but that is cool. They showed off a game called Scarlet Nexus, which I feel like I saw before, but I'm honestly not sure. It's coming out in summer 2021. It's a Bandai Namco action RPG. It had really heavy Astral Chain vibes, which I really liked Astral Chain, so I'm actually pretty interested in this. It very much looked like one of those anime action games, though.
Okay.
So, like, weird giant monsters and people wearing weird fucking outfits attacking them in a semi-futuristic setting.
Yeah.
Disco Elysium Final Cut was announced, which I'm actually excited for this. It's finally coming to consoles next year. It's a computer RPG that apparently has a really cool narrative, and it's one of those everything you do can affect the game. So I remember hearing people talk about it where their character basically died in the beginning of the game because they were so out of shape they had a heart attack.
Yeah.
Like they tried to do something that was too strenuous for their character, and their character just dropped dead and the game ended. Yeah, so, like, I'm actually really excited to check this out when it comes to console. And the Final Cut version is going to have voiceover for every line of dialogue and some new quests. You guys might be interested in this next one. Back for Blood. It's from Turtle Rock, the folks that made Left 4 Dead.
Right.
It's first-person co-op zombie shooter.
It's Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, it looks squad-based, which I believe Left 4 Dead was.
Yeah.
It was... Squad-based implies, to me, anyway, implies, like, classes, which Left 4 Dead did not have classes or playable characters or a difference between them.
Okay. This one did look like it may have had some sort of class structure, just because all the characters seem to have, like, a different... actually, I guess it could just be loadouts, too. Every character in the cinematic had, like, a different loadout, like, with the weapons they had, with, like, meleeing or whatever. Some of the zombie creatures were cool though. Like there was like a spider like one, like it was a human, but they had an extra set of arms and they spit like this like viscous like web goo at one of the people and like got them stuck to the ground.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I will probably not play it, but it looked cool.
I'll look into it. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I honestly did not write down if it's going to come to console or if it's PC only, at least to start. But yeah, if you like Left 4 Dead.
It's from the people who made Left 4 Dead, which was, it started on PC only, so it'll probably be PC only at long.
Yeah, maybe. Next I have on this list, the Callisto Protocol, which is from the creators of Dead Space.
Okay.
It's another sci-fi horror game, and it's expected to launch in 2022. So if you like Dead Space, the people that made it are making another game.
I got like an hour into Dead Space. I want to play that more. It was really good, but
I've always heard good things about it.
Right now in the winter, when it gets dark at 4:30, I can't play.
Man, stop being such a little bitch.
Dude, those games raise my blood pressure.
Man, it's just games.
Real quick, it does look like Back 4 Blood is coming to all platforms.
Oh, nice.
Well, PlayStation, Xbox, and PC.
Oh, that's cool.
Both PS4, PS5, Xbox One, S/X.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, that's good news for people that want to play that. Season from Scavenger Hunt Studios was revealed. I don't know what the game is. Like, I could not really figure that out from the video, but it was very pretty.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it's some sort of, like, narrative-driven open-world exploration thing. The way the narration goes, it was, like, something like their grandparents lived for 1,000, and their parents lived for so long, but they only have a season. And it's, like, this dude on a bike, like, pedaling around the world. And it's kind of like a mixture, like, there's some areas that look like modern, not like modern cities like New York, but like modern cities like that you'd see in like European countries and stuff like that. But then there's also just like these vast open areas that they're just kind of like pedaling down a dirt road. So like I have no idea what this game's going to be like, but it was very pretty.
Yeah.
And then maybe the most exciting one, Arc 2 is finally happening, you know, for that game that was in early access for 12 years.
Oh boy.
But this one, Arc 2, starring Vin Diesel.
That is weird, because if I remember correctly, the original Arc was primarily a sandbox game with a discoverable story. Like, as you wander the island, you could piece things together, kind of like most sandbox games have, generally. That they're actually gonna, like, throw in a full-on story for this one. It's weird. I've never played the first Arc, though, because I don't have a PC that can play it, and no one has it on console that I know. But I really wanted to play it, because it seemed friggin' awesome. It's a sandbox dinosaur game.
It is on Game Pass.
You probably wouldn't like it.
Oh, no, I don't want to play it. I was letting you know.
Yeah, but my PC's not strong enough to play.
Just turn your fucking Xbox on and update it.
That means I have to plug it in.
God,
I don't have any plug space right now, still.
Take it upstairs.
I don't have a TV upstairs.
Where'd your upstairs TV go?
It broke.
Oh, well, buy a TV for upstairs.
Well, when I get a TV for downstairs, I'll put a TV upstairs, but then I'm going to need to get a power strip for upstairs, because I don't have any free space upstairs, because I don't have a power.
I hate you.
Why do you hate me? I don't do anything in my bedroom. It's all in my living room. So, like...
God, I feel bad for Jensen and Kwame.
Well, yeah, that's not what I'm saying, okay? Nasty. Nasty.
But yeah, Vin Diesel. This game, honestly, like, it was a little unsettling. Like, it definitely was walking that uncanny valley thing, like, a lot closer than games usually do.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you like dinosaurs as Vin Diesel, fucking why not, right?
I like dinosaurs. I like Vin Diesel. But I don't know if I like dinosaurs and Vin Diesel. I've never seen that. So...
Well, now's your chance to find out.
He has a point.
Hey, you do have a point. We'll see what kind of a legitimate story this game may have before I decide if I'm going to get it or not. Like, the whole reason for the first Arc was it was a sandbox game. It was not a story-driven game. People got the game because they wanted to survive on an island with dinosaurs and build up their defenses and wander around this island. Like, it's weird to me that they're like, oh, for the sequel, we're not just going to have a better graphics, better gameplay, whatever, for this sandbox game. We're going to give you a story and, like, I wonder, are they going to have the sandbox feature as well? And it's just, to me, it's just weird to have Arc 2 have a story.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely understand that. They announced an Evil Dead game.
Groovy.
Yeah, it's gonna have multiple playable characters, including Ash.
Mm-hmm.
Ash definitely sounded like Bruce Campbell.
I mean, what else is he doing?
I don't know, but I'm just saying. He said he was done with Ash, but maybe he just meant he was done live action Ash. And one of the other characters looked like one of the female leads from Ash vs. the Evil Dead, so I don't know if that's where they're pulling some of the other characters from.
Yeah. On your, Bruce Campbell said he was done with Ash. Didn't, what's his name retire from being Joker like 10 times? And, the other guy retired from being Batman like 15 times?
Actually, I don't know that, Kevin Conroy ever actually retired from being Batman. I think, like, they just weren't doing his Batman for a while.
Conroy, like, when it came to the Arkham games, Conroy kept saying, like, this is my last one. And every time, the next one, this is my last one. And then I said, this is my last one. And Hamill, he said after the second one, he was done. And, no, I think he said after the first one, he was done. And then they got him for the second one. I don't know if they had him for the third, though.
They did, but they did not have him for Origin. That was Troy Baker.
Yeah.
Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection got announced for the Switch. I don't know if you guys hate yourselves enough to want to play Ghosts and Goblins.
I mean, my launch game was Demon's Souls, so...
Yeah, but Ghosts and Goblins is a different level of fuck you.
I know.
Agreed.
I know. I know.
I have tried playing those games numerous times, and I can't even get through the first level half the time.
The original one, they're on the SNES, NES, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're on the Switch.
Yeah,
on, like, the Switch apps.
Yeah, it's on SNES because it's Super Ghosts and Goblins, right?
I also think original Ghosts and Goblins is on the NES one.
Yeah, I think you might be right. What was that? Oh, and that one's due out in February, so not that far away. They showed off Returnal from Housemarque again, and honestly, I completely forget what that trailer was, and I meant to go back and watch it again, but today, a weird day. But that's coming in March.
Yeah.
Housemarque did Resogun, the PS4 launch title.
Mm-hmm.
So, but this is not one of their traditional twin stick shooters. So we'll have to see.
Returnal was that one where, like, the person kept coming back to the same time, but things were different every time or something like that. Like, every time they died, they would come back, they would wake up. Kind of like Groundhog Day style, but things were different. But they woke up.
I believe that is correct.
Yeah,
I'm going to agree with
that game looked cool, but I know nothing about it. But it's cool that they gave you another look.
So it's a third-person shooter featuring roguelike elements. Set in a futuristic science fiction setting, the player controls Celine, a female space pilot, equipped with a suit and armed with high-tech weapons, who is stranded on an alien world and stuck in a time loop. Mm-hmm. After every death, the pilot is resurrected following a pattern of traversing across foreign environments and combating extraterrestrial entities with growing visions in an ever-changing world. So yeah, you were correct.
Okay.
Oh, and the last thing from the Game Awards, you can now play as the Swedish chef from the Muppets in Overcooked.
That's amazing. I have to send that to my friends.
That was maybe one of the better segments. They actually had the Swedish chef, like, zoomed in to the awards.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he was holding a tinfoil Game Awards statue.
Yeah.
Acting like he was winning an award. Yeah, it was very good. It was very good.
Nice.
So yeah, moving away from the Game Awards, Cyberpunk 2077 came out last week, also on the 10th, if I remember correctly.
Did it, though? Did it really?
I mean, yes, a game was released.
Was it a game, though?
It has a lot of dildos.
They're patching out some of the dildos. It's okay.
The fact that you have to say they're patching out some dildos.
I saw that headline today.
Yeah, no, that was a headline that apparently CD Projekt Red is going to patch out some of the dildos. So this game is, by all accounts, a fucking buggy mess right now. Particularly on last gen, so PS4 and Xbox One. Frankly, like, they should have just made a stand and not released it on that hardware if they're having trouble with it.
Well, it seems like they didn't really think about releasing it for previous gen, and just like because they even said, like, they developed it primarily for next gen, but just decided to release it for previous gen, which was dumb. Like,
yeah, I mean, the biggest problem there is, so it seems to run pretty much okay on PC. Like, there are still bugs and glitches, but, like, it's playable. And it looks good. And it seems to run okay on PS5 and Xbox Series X. Again, like, there's bugs, there's glitches and stuff like that, but people are enjoying it on those platforms. Yeah. On PS4 and Xbox One, it's basically unplayable. IGN gave it a 4 for those consoles. They gave it a 9 for PC, a 4 for PS4, Xbox One.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the actual next-gen version of the game doesn't come out till sometime next year. So the version that people are playing on their PS5 is just the fucking PS4 version. Just with, like, the enhancements that you would have gotten on, like, a PS4 Pro. Only even the Pro apparently doesn't play it very good.
That's so weird. Like,
yeah, and, like, I've seen screenshots of what the games look like on last gen. Like, it looks bad. Like, it looks really, really bad.
And from what I hear, it doesn't even... it still looks good. Like, with the next gen version, it's still gonna look good, but it's not holding anything up to, like, if you just get it on PC, obviously.
I mean, that's unfortunately the case a lot of times, especially when the people that are showing this game off are the people with $3,000 PCs and they all just bought their brand new 3080 video cards. They
update their video card or their motherboard or anything every year, rather than just wait it out 12 years like I do.
Exactly. So a lot about the release of this game just seems kind of slimy.
Yeah.
Reviewers and media were only given access to the PC version.
Mm-hmm.
They had pretty strict embargoes, but that's not entirely odd. Like, that's pretty common anymore. But it's just one of those things where, like, they were obviously having trouble with this game. They had a huge pre-order going into it. Like, I think they already sold over 8 million copies of the game.
Yeah.
That they should have just fucking delayed it until they actually had it working. But instead, they delayed it just a little bit, made it sound like it was going to be fine, and then released a fucking broken-ass game.
Yeah, and it makes you, like, wonder, was it CD Projekt Red who decided to release it when it's still a buggy mess? Or was it their,
They publish it themselves.
Oh, they published it themselves. So it was them. It was their choice.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And if they knew it was that big of an issue, like, I hate to say this, just deal with the death threats and hold it back another 3-4 months. Like, people can wait. If you're gonna release a game that's broken and doesn't work on current console, or, like, I mean, yeah, PS4, Xbox One are still, I guess, can be considered current gen, because the gen is just making the crossover.
Nope, it is officially last gen. We already have games that are not playable on those platforms. And frankly, like, we had games that launched on November 10th and 19th that were not playable on PS4 or Xbox One. There's no reason that a game launched on December 10th had to be playable on those platforms at launch. Like, by all means, like, try and get yourself a viable last-gen version released sometime, like, early next year. But don't put extra resources into that when the game's not running well. Fucking just release it on the next-gen and PC so that people that have those platforms don't shit all over the game because they paid $60 and maybe it doesn't run well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They have responded to a bunch of this. And it's very much what, like, companies would say about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Rich, I know you were, I honestly don't remember if this came up while we were recording or right before we started, but they apparently have already started patching things, which is great.
Yeah.
And they have significant patches in the works over the next couple of weeks, with even larger ones coming in January and February.
Yeah, they have 2 large patches coming, like you said, one's coming January, the other February.
Now, they're supposedly offering refunds. I know before they made that announcement, people were, there were headlines going around that you could get a refund on PSN. So if you purchased it digitally, PlayStation was offering refunds for it. I assume Xbox would be doing the same. Their statement, though, actually tells people, like, if you bought a physical copy, go try and return it to whatever retailer you bought it from. That is immediately going to fail because people don't take that shit back. And when it does, you can then contact them and jump through whatever fucking crazy hoops they're going to try and make you jump through until you give up and just keep the game.
Yeah.
Well, the PlayStation refunds were not going well for people.
Oh, I believe that. But they were at least offering them.
Not really. I mean, CD Projekt Red told you to go to Sony and try to get a refund, and Sony was going, no, played it, sorry. So now, actually just today, CDPR was like, okay, stop asking Sony for refunds, hold on, we'll get it figured out.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
that's how
insane.
bad the Sony refund stuff.
When I saw them say, like, try to return your physical versions to the store that you bought it, I was like, you're trying to buy time so that you don't have to pay these people back. Which I get it. Like, you're trying to hold off so that you don't have to pay these people back, and you'll get a working game, and they'll just keep it. But like, it's just, it blew my mind that, like, you have to email them, help me refund at cdprojectred.com if you can't return it. And like, we're also in the middle of a pandemic, which, I mean, I know it's a physical thing, but I don't think a lot of places are doing returns right now anyway.
I mean, Amazon does.
Do they?
Yeah, we've had to return a couple things to Amazon.
Uh-huh.
Like we bought new harnesses for the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And they were nice harnesses, but they were not good for walking them. So we had to return both of them. And we packaged them up and took them to Kohl's because that's the only way to do a free refund with Amazon anymore.
Yeah. But it's just, man, I'm glad I didn't get hyped for this game.
See, I'm still excited to check it out. At least the three of us, like, we all have a next-gen console that should realistically play it okay. There's going to be bugs and glitches and weird stuff no matter what platform we're on.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, like, hopefully by January, like, the game is just more playable than it is now. But like, the people that are enjoying it, like, they seem to really be enjoying it. And even the people that are critical of it in a lot of cases, like, they're still talking about the merits of the game and, like, the things that they did enjoy about it, when they kind of got around the bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those games where, like, apparently, like, the majority of the game is, like, the side quests, and they're not quite as deep or as enthralling as some of the Witcher 3 ones were, which people were hoping for more Witcher 3, but people also bitched that the Witcher 3 took too long.
Yeah.
So, like, they tried to scale it back, and in scaling it back, it sounds like some of the narrative sort of took a hit, but
yeah,
I don't know. I still want to try it.
Like that's my thing is, like, I never played The Witcher 3. I think that's really all they're credited for as made was The Witcher and this. And the only thing I know about this game is that it's the Keanu Reeves game. I don't know anything else about it.
You can customize your dick.
Cool.
There's apparently over a dozen different penis options.
And like that
But there's only one vagina option.
Great. I just and that's like, this game seems like it's got the humor that I really don't care for. It's got that Borderlands type humor.
I don't think that that's true at all.
No, it's definitely not. It's Cyberpunk. So, like, do you know much about Cyberpunk?
No.
So it's all about, like, body modification and not like piercings and stuff like that. It's people getting, like, cybernetic implants and enhancements to just anything and everything. It's replacing your eyes with robot eyes so that you can zoom in on things.
Well, yeah, but like, is there a backstory to this game being a game besides it just being a game? Like,
yeah, there's a tabletop RPG.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
It is based on a tabletop RPG.
Okay. So, like, this is the first time I've heard all of this. I've known nothing about this game. I've not gotten into the hype for this game. And it's just, frankly, I don't care. And I'm kind of sitting back, like, smiling a bit, like, seeing everyone going through these issues. And I'm like, I'm glad that I wasn't buying into the hype. I'm glad. I'd rather get other games and not this one.
I mean, like, I'm super interested to get that game when the proper next-gen versions come out. Like, depending when that actually happens, it theoretically could be my first proper PS5 game.
Yeah, and but honestly, like, if I get it sooner, like, I'm not going to be upset because it was announced as, like, a free upgrade for next-gen.
Yeah.
And, like, I mean, I don't have a PS5 yet, but, like, the Xbox is good about just, hey, here's the new version of this game. Stop playing the old one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I just don't want to, like, get it, burn myself out on the game before the, like, proper visuals and shit actually come out.
That makes sense. That's why I'm holding off on Miles Morales.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Like,
yeah.
why play it on the PS4? At least hope to get a PS5 and want to play it there.
Yeah, exactly. But like I had said like a couple weeks ago, it might have actually been one of the weeks you weren't on, Drew. Like if come like February-ish, like PS5s are still just fucking impossible, which they probably will be. Depending on what I have to play at the time, I may just break down and buy it and play it on PS4 because I really enjoyed Spider-Man and I want to play the Miles like side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also,
I think Cyberpunk would look fucking badass on the fucking OLED TV, so I kind of also want to wait to have that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like, it's a game that I might get sometime down the line. Not really super, like, I need it now.
Same. I can wait till, like, March or whatever, or even later when they decide, here's the official next-gen version.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'll just wait for it to have a Game of the Year edition.
So, Nintendo had an indie showcase. Yes. Mm-hmm. Today? Yesterday. I did not watch it, but I do know that Among Us is out on Switch.
Yes, it came out yesterday. I guess at the same time as the event. I want to vent right here real quick about something before we continue on. Freaking comicbook.com released an article that said Nintendo stealthily released 4 games today that you might not have known of. And the article goes to say they had an indie showcase where they talked about all 4 of these games and that they're releasing today, but they stealth release. I'm like, how do you stealth release something when it was openly announced that it was being released that day?
And that's why you don't read comicbook.com, because it's a bullshit clickbait site.
I hate comicbook.com so much.
I've seen a few people say, too, that apparently the guy that runs it is a real piece of shit.
I'm not surprised.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know who runs it, but I've seen a bunch of people in, like, groups mention that.
Mm-hmm. But yes, Among Us 2 is releasing on Switch. Not Among Us 2. Among Us is released. I was combining the first and second line of this. Among Us is releasing on Switch with a local multiplayer.
Cool. I feel like that kind of makes no difference.
Well, I honestly feel like at least on Switch, it makes the game. Local multiplayers, and like everyone has to have a Switch in order to play the game. I'm assuming. I haven't really looked into it.
Well, I'm assuming everyone has to have a Switch and be in the same room.
Oh yeah. But like I feel like that'll work better than any other kind of multiplayer on the Switch for this game.
I mean, I don't know. I guess.
I mean, the two of the 3 of us on this podcast are against using the Switch voice chat app. And on top of that, in order to listen to the game and use the Switch voice chat app, you have to have those connectors that connect from your phone to the Switch, and from your Switch, then have the headphones. Like, I know you guys wouldn't use it. Yeah, you can type, but like, I feel like the game, at least if you're going to be playing on console, you're going to want to like have voice chat and not type chat.
Right. Now that you mentioned that, okay, now I understand.
Plus, if you're not using the voice chat and you're playing the game on the TV, then you still have to use the app to type, because typing on the game just using the controller is going to be a pain in the ass.
I mean, you also just do what everyone does in Discord.
That's what I was going to say, like, especially because this game is like cross-platform. People generally, if they're playing with their friends, they're just jumping in a Discord server to have like a voice chat.
Yeah. Like, and that's like if I were playing the game on my PC, I'd jump into a Discord server. But one thing I can do on the PC on a Discord server is listen to the game and the Discord chat at the same time, which I can't do on the Switch. So, like,
right. Yeah, no, totally. When I didn't think about that, but that is a fair point to the local multiplayer.
Yeah. Like
the flip side, though, is unless everyone's wearing headphones, like, you can pretty easily probably hear who got killed and is the killer.
Yeah. In my opinion, like, a console version of this game, like, I feel like this is one of the 2 big announcements for this showcase, because it was the last announcement. And I was just like, I don't see a point. I don't see a point in it. Like, good for them, great for them. The game, I've played it a few times. It's fun, and it's a good game, but I don't see a point or a need to have the game on, not only Switch, but on console in general. Because, like, something you were saying, Drew, like, it's gonna, like, there are some tasks that are a pain in the ass to do, that using, like, controllers to swipe your keycard is gonna be a bitch.
unless they accounted for that.
I'm curious. Like,
yeah.
And to be fair, like for me, for instance, I'd rather play this on console. My only other option is mobile. It's not fun to play on a phone. Like, I mean, it's fun, but it's not fun.
Yeah, but like, I'm sure it might be a little bit more fun if you're playing it on the phone with friends all in a room together, like locally. But like, I've used the mouse and keyboard to swipe the key card, and like, it takes me 2 or 3 tries to do it. I don't know if that's how it is with like touchscreen and stuff.
No, yeah, it's not like if I got good at it where I could hit it on the first try, but my like first like handful of matches, I was taking like 3 or 4 tries to get the key card swipe.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. I'm happy for this game, but I don't think it's that big of a deal, and I don't think they should have made it that big of an announcement.
I mean, it's the biggest game they had to announce.
I'm surprised they didn't get further information for Genshin Impact, and when that's being released.
There's probably no real information on that right now.
Like, it's supposed to be released on Switch at some point, so I'm surprised they didn't like try to get information from them to put that in there.
Also, I wonder if Nintendo would be okay with showing off something like that. Because it is like, it's a gacha game. Like, it's kind of a gambling game in a lot of ways. And I don't know that they have many of those on the platform as is.
I don't know. I mean, they showed, yeah, I don't know. I couldn't say. But the next big announcement, Spelunky 1 and 2. Spelunky 2 is coming to Switch when it gets released, if it's not already out.
It's been out for a few months.
Yeah. Spelunky 1 is also coming to Switch. Should be on Switch 2020, summer next year. I hear those games are really, really awesome. I've never played them, but like, I hear they're great.
I played a fair amount of Spelunky 1. I'm pretty sure it's a PS Plus game.
Yeah, I think I have it too. I just never played it. Never got into it. Then some of the other games that they showed that like they announced they had the developers up. One is called Tunchi, Tunche. It is a the game is all hand drawn. Animations, backgrounds, characters, everything. It's all hand drawn, which looks really cool. It's a cool art style, and it gives me a Castle Crashers feel type of gameplay. And it's all about like you're it's like a side-scrolling brawler. You're in the Amazon rainforest. You're trying to find the mythical Tunchi. It seemed really cool. That like, I was like, oh, that's neat. It looks cool. Something I might get. I don't have when that comes out. I don't have when the next 3 come out either. Or next 2. The next one is Cyber Shadow, which was a kind of like an old classic Ninja Gaiden feel type game. Looked really neat, so I kind of got like super excited for it, like a Metroidvania type Ninja Gaiden type game. And then the last one that I'm interested in is called Aliba, a Wildlife Adventure. It's like it seems to be kind of like the Stardew, My Life in Porsche type games.
Okay.
It's 3D, so more like My Life in Porsche, or My Time in Porsche. It looked really cool and cutesy, and you run around as a little kid. It was kind of adorable, which was why I was interested in it. And then, everyone just needs to look up the trailer for the game called Happy Game and watch it. It's honorable mention. Just look up Happy Game. It is by far the creepiest thing I've ever seen in my life.
So is this another game that you won't be playing at night by yourself if you got it?
I don't think it's that kind of game. Like, it is supposed to be like a horror game, but it's a side-scrolling. It's not like, I don't know, looked really creepy. Like, look it up right now if you can. It just looked really creepy, and I was just uncomfortable watching, like, just the art and the trailer for this. It was just like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to play this.
Quick question for you guys. I'm trying to figure out if this is me or you guys. Did one of you just have your phone buzz?
My phone did, yeah.
Okay, cool. I thought it might have been my work phone, and I'm not sure where it's at the moment, so I'm like trying to look for it without moving anything and making noise.
I think it was my phone, I think did buzz, because I just got 2 notifications on my computer from Pinterest, so I think one of them also went to my phone, so that might have been it.
Okay, cool. Then I don't have to worry about finding my work phone right now.
It's not like you're on call or anything.
No, but I was actually just going to turn the vibrate off, in case it was just like bullshit emails coming through.
Yeah.
Alright, so we're done with all the news for games. Drew, you've been playing Doom Eternal. Talk about it.
Yeah. It's crazy hella Doom. I just actually finished it yesterday. The last two boss fights kind of blow. They're kind of pointlessly difficult and just kind of weird bullshit mechanics in them that just kind of made them not fun. But it's a lot more of the Doom 2016 Doom. Maybe a little too much as far as equipment goes, because they added a lot of extra stuff from that last Doom. The flamethrower, and there's ice grenade, a couple new weapons, which I forgot about a lot of that stuff during a lot of the encounters, and that just feel like it was unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I might have done better at some of the encounters if I remembered all that shit was there. But the controller layout's a little weird to remember all that.
I know how you feel, because sometimes games incorporate mechanics that you just never think to use or forget about. In my personal experience playing Marvel's Adventures, there is there's an item that you get when you upgrade it all the way. You click in both L3 and R3, and it gives you a power boost for a little while. I've never used it.
Yeah, I constantly forgot to use the flamethrower, which is actually kind of important, because when you use the flamethrower, the enemies that you set on fire, when you hit them, and after upgrades, just as long as they're on fire, will drop things to boost up your armor.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of important in some of the fights. And then the ice grenades eventually get an upgrade where any enemies you flip the ice grenade, as you shoot them, they'll drop health. And forgetting to flip back and forth between grenades, because that's on the right button on the D-pad. And then they added a sword that you get at the very, very end of the game that I would constantly forget I have, but it one-hit kills basically everything.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a few fights where I was like, fuck. I would have probably not had to have done this fight 4 times if I remembered I had this fucking sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have made a little bit of a difference for you, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because there were a few times where it was like, shit, if I had just killed that one thing, I would have gotten a quick breather. But I had to remember to hit left on the D-pad to bring out the sword or whatever. And it's fucking... I can't remember that when there's 18 enemies all coming at me. Some of them are flying. Yeah, there's a lot going on in those fights to have to remember fucking almost every button.
Yeah.
Also, the platforming, I kind of feel like they threw that in there because they felt like they should, because they give you a double jump and a dash, but it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
At times. First-person platforming be fun. And there were a few sections, especially at the end, where it just took me forever to figure out the timing on shit.
Platforming already isn't really that fun, but then adding first-person to it just makes it even worse.
But otherwise, crazy music, crazy gore, over-the-top ridiculous with the story. You fucking go to the home planet of I forget what they're called, but they're the people that are using the energy that is created when souls get sent to hell, and extract the soul from the body, and then the soul becomes the energy that powers super crazy futuristic planet thing that the people live on, but they need the energy from the souls, and then the bodies that they took the souls from become all the demons that you're fighting. And it's going back and forth between Earth and Mars and just hell, and it's ridiculous and also great. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. Definitely worth picking up when it's on sale.
Yeah.
I would definitely play the Doom 2016 Doom first, because there are lots of direct references to what happened in that game. But
is it a big deal if you don't, though?
Probably not the biggest of deal. There is one very important character towards the end of the game that you would be like, okay, well, the fuck, who cares? That is way different. If you played Doom 2016, you fully understand why that character is there.
Yeah.
Okay.
But otherwise, probably. And at the same time, it's not the biggest of an issue if you didn't know what that character is.
Yeah, I want to play it at some point. It is on Game Pass, so I will probably check it out on there once I finish up a few other things.
Yeah, definitely.
So I did enjoy the 2016 Doom a lot.
It's just as good, like I said, little added stuff into the combat that you'll potentially forget about at times.
I'll probably never play it.
Man, you should fucking play it. They're fucking good games.
Yeah.
I mean,
We both tried Monster Hunter. You should try
Okay.
Doom.
but there's a difference between you guys trying Monster Hunter and me trying Doom. I'm not against Doom. I'm just not a fan of arena shooters, and it piques my interest not at all. Like
Monster Hunter piqued neither of our interests.
but I don't shit on you guys for liking this game. That's the other difference.
It's a good game.
You can like it. You can like it. I have no interest in it. I'd rather play other stuff.
You're just the worst. I said it before,
Why?
I'll say it again.
Why am I the worst?
Because you don't want to play the good games. You want to play the monster.
I play good games.
Mm,
I play a lot of good games.
Sometimes.
No, I mean, not sometimes.
Anyway, Drew, is there anything else you want to say about Doom?
No, that's pretty much it.
So I started playing Control a little bit. That's a fun game.
It looks fun. I knew nothing about it until like the end of the PS4 era because it came out earlier this year, didn't it? It came out
last year.
It came out last year, and I had no idea what it was until like I started seeing Facebook ads for it in like September of this year.
That's probably when like the whatever edition came
the
out.
Ultimate Edition,
yeah,
released. Which the Ultimate Edition is also the version that will get the next gen upgrade when that comes out early next year.
Yeah.
It was on sale around Black Friday for very cheap. Like the Ultimate Edition was. I want to say it was like $20 or $24.
Yeah.
So I grabbed it then. And I decided to check it out before the next gen version comes out. I had heard the game chugged a little bit on last gen hardware. It apparently ran very well on PC and ran pretty good on the One X and the Pro. But I didn't have either of those, so I had kind of been holding off on Control because, frankly, I didn't want to get a game that people were saying like doesn't really run well on that hardware.
That's the other reason why I've held off is because like I had a Gen 1 PS4, so like I didn't have a Pro, I didn't have any upgrades or anything, so I'm just like, I'll wait to get a system that I can actually play it on, and thought about just like getting that like Switch stream version just to see how that works in general. Probably not gonna do that though.
But it is a very cool game. It runs really well on the Series X. It is not what I thought it was. And, like, I had, like, some idea going into it. Like, I knew it had, like, a weird supernatural thing going on. But basically, you inadvertently become the director of the paranormal counterpart to, like, basically the MIB.
Mm-hmm.
So whereas, like, the MIB in, like, the movies is all, like, extraterrestrial threats and everything like that, the Bureau of Control are investigating and researching like paranormal stuff, whether it's extra dimensional or weird monsters. The game involves a lot of these artifacts of power that when you get them and you traverse these weird astral plane platforming levels, you then get like a new ability. So I'm pretty early on still. I have a telekinetic like throw where I can, like, grab an item, pull it towards me, and then throw it at something or someone. Which works really well, and basically everything in the game is throwable.
Yeah.
And then I also, I have a dash that I can do in the air and stuff like that. And my gun can transform. So the big thing is your weapon is just called, like, your service pistol or service weapon or something like that. It is only usable by the director of Control. And your main character had been looking for this place for years because it's where they apparently took her brother, it seems. I'm not entirely sure. It's supposed to be one of those places where you can't find it unless you know it exists. Like it's one of those weird like cognitive impairment sort of things.
Yeah.
And their building is called the Oldest House, which is kind of neat. It's essentially Time Lord technology inside. It's bigger on the inside. It'll reconfigure itself like Hogwarts. So at the very beginning of the game, you enter through the lobby, like you're walking around. It's definitely got a little bit of like, not a horror vibe, but it definitely keeps you like on edge a lot because of like a lot of this game. You're just kind of alone wandering through these like dark hallways in this building. But you're walking around and it's dark, and then you bump into like this creepy janitor who's kind of like mumbling to himself and has like a real thick accent. And then like you stop, you talk to him. he tells you to go take the elevator, points you towards the elevator, and you like walk around the corner, in the direction that you were going already, and it brings you back to the part where you started, that you pass already. And if you walk past the elevators, like, you're standing back in the lobby again.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually turned around and went the other direction back past the janitor, and it just dead ends. Like, you can't, like, it doesn't loop or anything like that. Like, you hit a certain point, and they actually just block off where you went and move everything into where you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. But I'm enjoying it so far. It's a third-person shooter. It is not a cover shooter, and I have to keep, like, reminding myself that as I'm playing. Because I very much want to hide in cover, but it doesn't do that very well. Cover, like, to duck behind something is just, like, R3, but you don't auto-cover, like a Gears game or something like that, or like an Uncharted, where if you're in cover and you pop out to shoot, as soon as you let go of like L2 for aiming, you, like, settle back down into cover. That doesn't happen. You have to keep hitting R3 to, like, cover. And your character does not take damage very well. Yeah. Like, a little bit of damage does a whole lot of damage, if that makes sense. So it's actually a little more fitting for the game if you kind of run and gun. Because every time you kill an enemy, the enemy drops some, like, little health points that okay. refill you. So if you kind of, like, keep on the move and take people out between your gun, which auto refills ammo, it's like an energy weapon for the most part, where you have a finite amount of ammo, but as long as you don't let it drain, it actually refills fairly quickly. If you let it drain all the way, then it takes a little bit longer because you have to wait for it to fill up all the way.
Yeah.
Same thing for your energy, for, like, your telekinetic throw and your dash. If you do those, it uses up the energy. If you use all the energy, it takes longer to refill. But as long as you're kind of, like, moving a lot and using, like, everything at your disposal, it's not too bad. Mm-hmm. They do throw a bunch of different types of enemies at you pretty early on, between people that you can just shoot, people that are actually, like, kind of flying and are a little harder to narrow down. Some of the enemies are, they have, like, these weird, like, celestial shield things around them that you actually have to hit them with something before you can shoot them. So yeah. You either have to get close and melee attack them, or throw something at them to take the shield down, and then shoot them before they have time to put their shield back up. They have, like, these weird bug things that come at you that explode after you shoot them, or explode when they hit you. And most of the enemies are actually just people that work in the Bureau that have been taken over by this thing they call the Hiss. So, yeah, it's fucking weird.
Yeah.
But, like, in a really good way. It's got Remedy's, this is a Remedy game, right?
I believe
right.
so.
Respawn does, Titanfall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. For some reason, in my head, I always get those two confused with each other. Probably because they're both relatively short R words. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so Remedy did Alan Wake and, Quantum Break also. And mm-hmm. it's got their usual live action video thing going on, where, like, you find, like video cassettes of, like, the head scientist of the Bureau. And it's, like, live action, like, mm-hmm. real people doing it. It's not somebody mocapped and it's been converted to a, like, video game.
Yeah.
But it's fun. I definitely, if you guys see it drop on sale, especially, I would definitely think about picking it up. Because it looks and plays really well, even the last gen version on the new gen hardware.
Yeah.
Good to know.
And then Rich, you finished up Star Wars Squadrons.
Yes, I did. Oh boy. So let's get over, like, the not good stuff about the game. The intermission dialogue is awkward. So Squadrons, if you don't know, is the Starfighter game, the Star Wars Squadfighter game. And between missions, there's, like, you could talk to your squad mates. You go to get briefings and things like that. Cobb, you played the prologue. I don't know if you actually got far enough to have any of these interactions.
I haven't. I only did the prologue, and I just haven't gone back to it yet.
Yeah, those things, they're super awkward, because you're just, like, I think the game was made more for VR, but it's not strictly a VR game. And so you can't move around. You sit there and you just circle, and you hover your cursor over to somebody and you press X, and they'll go and they'll talk, and they'll be having a conversation with you, but it'll be like, so what we need to do is get to this, and then it'll be a blank and space, and it's like they don't give you dialogue options or anything, and then they'll start with the next part of the conversation that has sometimes nothing to do with the previous one. And, like, the voice acting isn't all that great when it comes to it either. It was just, like, whenever I was playing, I was just like, this is kind of uncomfortable. Like, sitting here and listening to these people talk at me and not be able to interact in the dialogue at all. Like, it was just kind of weird and uncomfortable. But besides that, the gameplay is fun. The ship fighting is fun. It's all in space. There's no dog fights, like landlocked fights. It's all in space, which is
okay. We weren't sure about that when we had both only played like the opening of it. I was kind of leaning on it was probably all space fights based on what they were going for, but we just didn't know.
There are some like meteorite, asteroid field fights and things like that. There's like fights in like junkyards and stuff, like space junkyards. But it's all in space, which is really cool. And like you got a little bit of a tutorial of the controls, Cobb. And it gets more intuitive than that. Like it gets to a point where you can direct what your allies and squad mates attack, which is one of the things, like Drew was saying in Doom, that you forget you can do, or get told that you can do it so late in the game that, like, you don't use it when you should. Or, it's, like, the flying and the fighting is really good, but it's just, there's so much controls and there's so much going on, at least for me, that I am not good at it. At all. No matter how much you say get good, I ain't gonna get good. The story is fine. It kind of is, like, nothing, in my opinion. Like, the outcome, like, doesn't advance really anything in the Star Wars storyline at all. And, like, you kind of get left off in the same boat as you were right at the beginning. So it's like, there was no change. And even, like, at one point, spoiler alert if you care, Cobb.
Oh no, go ahead, sorry.
Okay. At one point, a character you think is dead comes back. And it's really late in the game. Like, this character you think, oh, they died. And then you're all sad. And then they come back. And it makes no sense how they survived. But they did. Whatever, sure. In one of the missions, you're playing as the Empire, and you go and attack Anvil Squad. And you decimate them. You take out their freighter. You take out their Corvettes. You take out, like, their ships and everything. But they're somehow still alive as well, in the final fight. And Anvil Squad comes and helps the First Order. Or not the First Order, the New Republic. Which, like, that doesn't make sense. And, like, at the end of it all, no one is better or worse. Like, everything is all the same. And I'm just like, well, that's kind of why. But this game was made more for, like, the multiplayer thing more so than the single player. Single player is kind of just there to teach you how to play. And I did a few dogfight missions. I suck. Just flat out suck.
As expected.
I think I did like 4 or 5 dogfights. No, like 3 or 4 dogfights. I killed 2 people.
Yep. But that game is actually like the controls in that game are actually pretty hard.
They are, and the problem is, like, there's so much to it, and, like, with with some of the Empire ships and all of the New Republic ships, you have 3 options of shields, weapons, and speed. And then you have your boost, which you have to remember you can do. And then, like, the New Republic ships you can assign where their shields are focused on front, back, or balanced both sides. The First Order... Or, not the First Order. It should be the First Order, but it's still the Empire. Because it takes place right after, Return. They just have, like, you can focus on weapons or speed. And it's just, like, there's so much going on, and so much to focus on, and so much to figure out, that, like, your mind has to go, like, a mile a minute in order to, like, fully comprehend. And then just, in general, knowing, like, when should I cut my speed so I can make a turn, and if you cut your speed too much, your turn's slower. But if you're too fast, your turn radius is too wide. And, like, actually acknowledging just by playing the game, because, like, the hood for your speed is small and in the bottom corner, so it's kind of hard to, like, see that, plus see where you're going. knowing how slow you're going so you can make that quick turn, or how fast you are, and how it's just, there's so much to it. And I'm just like, I can't get a grasp on it. Like, I'm not gonna ever be good at this game at the multiplayer aspect. There is a version where it's, there's 2 freighters, and then 2, like, smaller ships, and then all of, like, the player ships, and they fight against each other, and it's, like, a tug-of-war type game mode, which I might be better at. You initially, when you unlock it, it's just for, it's co-op against the AI, but you can eventually play against other people on both sides. I might be better at that. I'm not going to be good at playing against people, or just straight up dogfight 5-on-5. And
yeah, I mean, to be fair, you're never going to put the time in that other people put into it either.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't want that to be like, a signal of what kind of a game it is. It's just, I'm not going to be able to get that skilled at this game. I enjoyed it. I really liked playing it. I thought the gameplay was good, even though it was very difficult. You feel like you're actually friggin' flying the ship, which is nice. There's a lot going on in that game when you're playing it. And so, I don't know if I'm gonna have the patience or the time to put into trying to get better. I enjoyed what I played with it so far, plus it was on sale, so I didn't really pay as much for it. So if you can find it on sale, I think it was like $20 or something like that. Find it on sale, it's probably worth the purchase, but I think base price is like $40. I don't think it's really worth $40.
That's fair.
Yeah. But it's Squadrons, and it's cool, and there is the B-Wing. You can play as a fight only in multiplayer. You can fly a B-Wing, and there's a weird TIE fighter that is like, I don't even remember what it was called, but it has like 4 wings, and it's huge.
4 wings, like segmented wings?
Yeah, it's not the Interceptor, but it's a huge one that might be like, it's like 4 segmented wings.
I mean, that sounds like an Interceptor, or maybe a bomber? Did it have 2 cockpit sort of circles?
Well, no, there's the bomber, there's the Interceptor, there is a TIE, like a shield one. It's called the Reaper. TIE Reaper. Fighter, Interceptor, Bomber, Reaper. No, it's not the Reaper then. I googled it, and they didn't tell me what the last one was. It might have been DLC. It might have been like new release, and this might be an old.
I'm actually looking at a
article.
website too, just to see if I could find it.
Okay, so
there's a U-wing in it?
Yeah, there's U-Wings. So in the single player,
it looks like.
Yeah, in a single player, you play in an X-Wing, an A-Wing, a B-Wing. No, X, Y, U, and A. And then there's a B-Wing in multiplayer.
Okay.
I think B-Wings are the ones that, like, turn into the T-shape, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for the Empire, it's the TIE Fighter, the Interceptor, the Reaper, and the Bomber. And then there's this weird-looking new one that I have no idea what it is. I can't remember the name.
Is it a TIE Defender?
Probably?
Yeah, it's that's what I thought. It's got 2, like, just Google TIE Defender.
There we go. The first thing that came up when I typed TIE was Defender. And then Squadrons. Yeah. So it was 3, not 4. 3 segmented wings. It's, like, I've never seen that before in anything.
I think it was only in, like, some of the old games. Like, it might have been in, like, the old TIE Fighter game.
Mm-hmm. But, like, that, there's that, which, like, a lot of people were using, apparently. I guess it's really good. I don't know. But yeah. If it's on sale, and you want to play a cool Starfighter, get, Squadrons, but, just know that when you play multiplayer, you're probably not going to be good at it.
Yeah, looking at this, it's only really been in games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe some of these may be books or comics, but yeah, its first appearance was in Star Wars TIE Fighter.
Okay, yeah.
Which was from 90s? Oh, God, no, it was from the early 90s. It came out in 1994.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. That's everything you have about Squadrons, though?
Yeah, I beat it. The story was fine. It was nothing, really. Not even fine. The story was nothing. The interactions were awkward. The gameplay is fun, though. And the multiplayer is hard.
That seems about right. So Disney had their investor showcase last week, the same time as the Game Award.
Yeah, which they had a lot to announce to their investors.
It was about 4 hours long.
Was it really that long?
Yeah, I watched it. I actually watched, I found somebody that streamed it, like, some sort of, like, entertainment YouTube person, was, like, commentating the whole thing. So I watched that. he was actually pretty entertaining. So like it wasn't so bad.
Yeah, I turned it on at 4:30 because that's when it started. But I had to run to my parents' house and take care of their dog. So I ended up stopping right at 5 because I wanted to take care of that. And I was already bored out of my mind after a half hour.
Yeah, so this was very much not a thing for people. This was an investor showcase that they just happened to make public for everybody.
Yeah.
It had a... I said this to both of you guys. It felt very much like those like mid to late 2000 E3 presentations.
Yeah.
Where they were starting to stream them and stuff like that, and like more people were like seeing what was coming out of them, but they were still very much just industry focused with like PowerPoint slideshows and stuff.
It was more business and less pleasure.
Yeah,
like
they spent a lot of time talking about like the different platforms and
their new Star platform or whatever, which I think is primarily for non-US consumers.
Yes and no. So Star is going to be like a different branded section in the Disney Plus app, from the way it sounds at least, where your quote unquote adult content will go there. Yeah. So like shows that air, like sitcoms like Modern Family and shows from FX like American Horror Story and stuff will be under that section.
Okay.
And you'll actually they're going to include more parental control, where you'll actually have to go in and like mark that like it's an over 18 account to be able to watch that content.
Okay.
Star Plus is what's going to be the whole platform for countries that do not have Disney Plus, it sounds like. So like in some like European and Asian countries where Disney Plus does not exist, they will get Star Plus, which will have any Disney Plus content that is they can show in those territories.
Okay.
But yeah, they spent a lot of time talking about that, about ESPN Plus, about Hulu, about like direct to consumer, and you know a lot of like number stuff, because this was for their investors. Like they had to show that they were going to be making money.
About I don't know if you have it on there. 4 more seasons of It's Always Sunny. Oh, you do have it on there.
Yeah, that's way down there. They also so a lot of the things they announced had sizzle reels. Not many of them actually had sizzle reels that were shown to the public. Mm-hmm. In a lot of cases, the video would just transition to a countdown while they showed the investors the actual sizzle reel.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, it was like copyright issues. Like they weren't allowed to show this stuff yet.
Yeah.
But anyway, to start running down the list, we're going to start with Star Wars first. So the stuff announced for the Star Wars universe. The Obi-Wan series that is still coming eventually. They announced that Hayden Christensen is going to be in it as Darth Vader.
That's cool. Like I'm really excited for that.
I do hope, and like I'm excited for that too. But I hope that they do it in such a way where the two characters constantly miss each other.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to have Vader and Obi-Wan confronting each other 10 years before a new.
Yeah,
I feel like, and I honestly don't know if they did that in any of the other expanded universe stuff in the cartoons or whatever, but I feel like them having their battle in Revenge of the Sith and then not seeing each other for 19 years to where they fight on the Death Star, that's their timeline.
Yeah.
They also announced a Rogue One, or not announced, I'm sorry, they talked a little bit about the Rogue One spinoff. It's officially called Star Wars Andor. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be following Diego Luna's Cassian Andor from Rogue One, prior, obviously, to the events of Rogue One.
Yeah.
It's also K2SO, the robot, or the droid, voiced by Alan Tudyk, is going to be in it.
Yeah, which I thought that was cool, the Andor series. I was like, he was a cool character.
Yeah, and honestly, the little sizzle reel that was one of the things that they did show us. Like, it definitely looks like it's going to have the same feel as Rogue One, and I really liked Rogue One, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
It just started production in November, and it's currently scheduled to come out sometime in 2022.
Okay.
They also announced that Lando is going to be getting an event series. That's all we know. We don't know what Lando it's going to be. Could be Donald Glover, younger Lando. Could be Billy Dee Williams, older Lando. Could be both.
Yeah. I think it'd be cool if they do like a Lando over the years, like have a couple of episodes I'm forgetting all the titles of every movie right now.
Just go by
Empire or pre-Empire, and then a bunch of movies like pre the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. So what I think would be cool would be if it was one overarching story, played out by in both eras.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, have older Lando searching for something that he started searching for as younger.
I mean, they could even
That would
do
be
like a Green Arrow type flashback thing too, where
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like, have it play out where, like, you know, some episodes are heavy with older Lando, some episodes are heavy with younger Lando, but the whole thing is basically a flashback from quote unquote present day Lando. Let's call him.
well, yeah, and like in Rise of Skywalker, like he was on that planet because Luke wanted help finding the dagger.
Yeah.
So like it could just be like the stuff with Donald Glover could be him from early times, maybe with Sebastian Stan as Luke.
That's never
Like-
going to happen.
No, but it could be like doing like the pre-search or the early search after Return, but then have him like helping Rey and not helping Rey, but before Rey shows up in Rise of Skywalker and stuff.
See, I figured they could just do something after Rise of Skywalker, like,
Yeah.
because this way they don't have to conform to they don't have to conform to what's going to happen. They can take
Yeah.
Lando in whatever direction they kind of want to at that point,
Mhm.
if it's post that series. And then just be like, oh yeah, like this is a thing that he was doing when he was 30 before he became the head of Cloud City.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Cloud City happened, and then the rebellion happened, and then he went on this mission with Luke, and now he's like, you know, something from his past comes up and sends him back on that path. You know,
Yeah.
all of his friends are dead, so.
Yeah. It's just there's so much they can do with this.
But yeah, so that got announced. The Mandalorian is officially getting 2 spinoffs. Everyone kind of just figured there was going to be an Ahsoka spinoff, which that's official. And they also announced a Rangers of the New Republic series.
Which, like, I also, like, kind of had like, after I saw the news of the Rangers of the New Republic, I was like, you know, this season of The Mandalorian, they've been talking and showing a lot more of, like, the New Republic, like, squadrons that, like, I feel like they're trying to build to something to that as well.
Yeah, and so the speculation there is that it's going to follow Cara Dune, and that it might involve that pilot that keeps popping up. Like, he's been on, like, he's been there, like, 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
He showed up on the ice planet with his partner and then showed up and was talking to Cara in the one episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's cool. There's going to be a rogue, so this one is actually really exciting. There's going to be a Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
So the next Star Wars movie is going to be Rogue Squadron. It's being directed by Patty Jenkins, who's done the last 2 the only 2 Wonder.
Mm-hmm.
And now she tweeted out something separate to this announcement after this was announced, like a little video on Twitter, where you basically find out in the video that her origin story is the same as Hal Jordan.
Yeah. She's from, like, a military family and Top Gear and all that shit.
Yeah, like, her dad was apparently a pilot, and she used to watch her dad, like, do test flights for, like, the Air Force.
Top Gun, not Top Gear.
Yeah. So, like, legitimately, because she told that story.
Mm-hmm.
And she's telling that story, and I'm just like, oh, cool, they're going to give her Green Lantern. Like, I wonder what she's going to do with Green Lantern. And then it's like, oh, no, I'm doing Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
Like,
when she was, like, putting on the jumpsuit, the Rebellion jumpsuit, I was just like, oh, this is so cool. And then, yeah, she's doing Rogue Squadron. I think I heard somebody say that it might be, like, a prequel to Rogue One as well as Rogue Squadron.
that doesn't work, though.
I don't know. And to be honest, I didn't click the article, and it might have been comicbook.com, so I really don't know. But I was like, this is dumb. Rogue Squadron is an actual squadron with, like, it's got, like, Biggs and whatnot, right?
Well, it's got Wedge.
Wedge, yeah.
Biggs is dead.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, Wedge is in there. I mean, Luke was the leader for a long time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really, really popular Legends characters that were at one time or another part of Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, this movie should definitely take place post original trilogy. Because if it's post original trilogy, it's much easier to avoid, like, having to intersect with the movie timelines. And really, like, Rogue Squadron, at least in the Legends, didn't exist prior to A New Hope.
Yeah.
Like, I think Luke was the original leader of Rogue Squadron. I could be wrong there. It might have been Wedge, but it was one of them. And in A New Hope, they were both on Red, I want to say. I know Luke was Red, and I think Wedge was Red leader at the time. But yeah, so just to clarify, me thinking that she was getting the Green Lantern film instead, I saw her tweet before I watched this stream. So I didn't know that there was a Rogue Squadron movie announced, but I saw this, and I'm just like, oh, that's cool. Like she is basically Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Rogue Squadron was the last, like, big thing they announced for Star Wars. So let's move on to the MCU, where they announced a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah. This is insane, everything they've announced. And I have some feelings about it, so after we're done talking about it, I'll talk what I think about it. So,
Secret Invasion is coming as a Disney Plus series. It's going to star Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury and Ben Mendelsohn's Talos from the Skrull from Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So this is probably the Jackson-led show that had been rumored for a while. And I'm actually really curious to see how they do this, since the Skrulls at the moment aren't necessarily villains in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely played the Skrulls, at least that particular group of Skrulls, as more like refugees.
Yeah.
And made the Kree the villain.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, like how they'll work with that. Or if they'll go deep into like what the comic was about, or kind of do their own spin on it. Then they announced an Ironheart series. It's going to star Dominique Thorne as Riri Williams.
I did not hear anything about this series. I'm surprised.
Yeah, no, and this is also pretty cool. It's keeping more characters, kind of like carrying on like the Iron Man legacy.
Yeah.
And so in the comic, she invented her first armor, and like that got Tony's attention, and then Tony sort of like helped her with stuff.
Didn't she like reverse engineer her armor or something like that?
Something along those lines. So one of her big problems with her armor was she didn't have an AI.
Yeah.
So it was hard to control.
Mm-hmm.
Tony ends up helping her with, in the form of he dies, quote unquote dies, during Civil War II.
Yeah.
But uploaded his own consciousness to like the internet beforehand.
Yeah.
And made that her AI for her suit for a while. So like, I don't think they're going to go that far. Like, they're not going to have a Tony AI be in her suit. But her kind of doing this in the wake of him dying does still fit sort of in that, story.
I wouldn't be too upset if they didn't, like, maybe not a Robert Downey Jr. Well, no, Robert Downey Jr. is the only one who played Tony Stark. I was thinking Howard Stark. But like, a way they could do it is Vision still has audio print. Vision's dead. Well, actually, we don't know, because WandaVision comes out in January. We don't know what happens with WandaVision. So I feel like there's ways they can do that.
They can skip it entirely, though. Like, they don't need to do the Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, like, AI thing. In the comics, after Tony comes back, she actually does create her own AI that's actually based on her best friend who was murdered in a drive-by along with her father.
Okay.
So she does have like her own AI that they could definitely just use that as part of her story and skip. Like, Tony's death was like the catalyst to her making the armor, but her making the armor was kind of defined by like her watching her best friend and father get shot down at like a barbecue.
Yeah.
So I do have a tangent real quick. So on Friday, after all this stuff was announced, I had to like drive to the store real quick, and I just had the radio on. It was in the morning, and Preston and Steve was on. And they had that fucking dude Craig call in to explain this stuff, and it's so infuriating how wrong he is about fucking everything.
I'm gonna be honest, he's one of the reasons why I stopped listening to...
Yeah, like, this dude calls in and, like, acts like he knows what he's talking about, and has no fucking clue at all.
No, like, he is a nerd for early 80s and 90s TV and sitcoms, but they think he's, like, the best nerd for everything, and he doesn't really know. I know just as much, if not more, about a lot of this stuff than he does.
Yeah, like, when it comes to, like, comic book stuff, like, he has no fucking clue what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Like, he definitely, like, read the wiki for it, and, like, thinks he picked it all up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I needed to complain about that.
Mhm.
So they're also doing an Armor Wars series with Don Cheadle as Rhodey.
Mhm.
This one could actually be super cool. So Armor Wars in the comics is from like the late 80s. It was like a 6 or 7 issue story arc that somebody got a hold of basically the designs for Tony's armors and started selling it to like his villains. So he found out that a lot of his enemies that had like armor-ish aspects to them were actually using his designs to make those armors.
Yeah.
So it's him fighting through his enemies to basically get his armor back.
I wonder if Armor Wars is going to lead into Ironheart.
Yeah, I don't know. I do like so in the original Armor Wars, like it was Tony doing everything.
Yeah.
But I think with Tony gone and it being Rhodey, it almost works better because it's Rhodey trying to protect his friend's legacy.
Yeah. It makes sense. I like it.
Yeah. I thought this one was just fun. They announced Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special.
Yeah.
It's going to be filmed the same time as Volume 3. It's going to air the Christmas before that one comes out. So the cast is going to be in it. James Gunn is writing and directing it.
Mhm.
And they also announced a Baby Groot animated series.
Yeah, I saw it. It was adorable.
They showed like a sizzle. They actually showed a sizzle reel for Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming March of 2021.
Which that's one of the series I was super like holding out to get Disney. Like I wanted Falcon Winter Soldier more than anything else, and one of the reasons why I didn't get Disney Plus at launch was because that wasn't up there, and I was waiting for that, and then it got delayed. So then I was like, I need to watch Mandalorian, so I got Disney Plus.
Yeah,
like I'm so excited for that.
So they also showed a sizzle reel for Loki, which is coming in May of 2021.
Did you watched the Loki thing, right?
Yep.
What is that organization? Is that something that's actually in the comics, or I can't remember what it was?
Honestly, I don't even remember what it was in the thing,
Okay.
but I remember seeing it and recognizing it, and I just don't remember now.
Yeah.
But that show looks like it could be fun because it's still the villain Loki.
Yeah.
And then What If, the animated series that's going to tell different tales, is due for summer 2021.
Yeah, which that looks really cool too. Like they have one where Peggy is Captain Britain.
I wonder if that's what they'll call her, though.
I don't know.
Well, because there is a Captain Britain. He's like a magical superhero.
Yeah, like she's. I mean, she's not Captain America. So
exactly, she's definitely wearing the I forget what the Union Jack.
Yeah, she's got the Union Jack on her shield.
But yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. Like, it comes out this summer. So
yeah, which also was a series I was like, oh, this is a cool concept. Like, some of them kind of don't make sense to me. Like, what if T'Challa was taken instead of Star-Lord? Which I'm like, that's kind of dumb.
So this has always been what if is. Like, what ifs are a thing in the comics too.
Yeah.
So that, like, that's just what they do. Like, someone will come up with, like, a weird fucking idea and just run with it.
Yeah, but, like, the reason I think, like, it's silly to do, like, what if T'Challa was taken instead of, Star-Lord was because, like, T'Challa, like, yeah, he's from Wakanda, but he's not really he's, like, a normal person, until he gets the super soldier serum when he was an adult after his dad dies. Or before his dad dies. To become the Black Panther. So, like, I don't know. That one is weird.
Keep in mind, though, in Civil War, he hadn't gone through the ritual with the flower that gave him, like, the enhanced stuff. But in Civil War, even without the suit, that motherfucker was taking down everybody.
He had a suit in Civil War.
No, but I'm sorry, he wasn't taking down everybody. But remember, he was going against Bucky at one point where both of them were not in their suits.
Well, yeah, but like my point is like. Does he get the training as he's a child, or does he get the training throughout his life? Once he gets kidnapped by Yondu, like, he then just becomes a normal person who is from Wakanda. Like,
I mean, he's probably has been training from, like, a young age, but I mean, like, the same could be said for Peter Quill. Like, Peter was resourceful enough and had nothing special about him.
Yeah, so, like, it just, to me, it's like, I hope people don't get their hopes up and be like, oh, what if Black Panther becomes Star-Lord? What if T'Challa becomes Star-Lord? Just remember that. Like, it's just, to me, it was a little bit of a silly one.
I mean, that's the whole point, though. They're supposed to be silly. So they did also finally confirm that Tatiana Maslany is going to be She-Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
She had been denying it since it was kind of like leaked out there.
Yeah.
And Marvel, and Disney don't really let up much on that stuff. But then they also confirmed that Mark Ruffalo will appear in it, as well as the return of Tim Roth as Abomination from the 2008 Edward Norton Incredible Hulk.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that was happening.
And then they very quickly told us Fantastic Four is in development as a film.
Yeah.
And it's going to be directed by John Watts, who's the director of Spider-Man Homecoming, and I believe he's doing the whole trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
But that's cool. Like, I would like to see what Marvel proper can do with the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Because God knows fucking Fox didn't know what the fuck to do with them.
Especially since, like, they can now interact with a lot more with all of the Marvel characters. Like,
yeah.
Like, the Fantastic Four is great, and I'm sure they have some of their own villains, but, like, their main villains, or at least in the movies, were, like, is the fucking Galactus. Like, four people can't take out Galactus. Like, come on.
Well, so, that's the thing. They don't ever fight and beat Galactus. Like, their whole thing is, like, they figure out a way to, like, defeat them without necessarily, like, killing them. Like, they're not punching Galactus out. But, Fantastic Four arguably have, like, the most iconic villains with Galactus and Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
Like, Marvel having Doom back, like, I mean, both of them, frankly, Galactus and Doctor Doom, are big enough that, like, they could theoretically be, like, the next big bads for, like, whatever the next team-up movie is.
Yeah, they could do an Avengers for just Doctor Doom.
But they also have, like, and honestly, they could tie it in where, like, the first team-up movie is Doctor Doom, and, like, that leads to him somehow, like, luring Galactus to the Earth.
Yeah.
But, like, Fantastic Four also has, like, a long-running relationship with Spider-Man. So, depending on how they frame the Fantastic Four, it would also be a good way to tie Pete to another part of the MCU.
Yeah.
Especially depending on, like, how the deal with Sony goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely interested to see how they do that one. Ant-Man 3 is officially called Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantum Mania, and all four of, like, the main players are back. So Ant-Man, Wasp, and then Ant-Man and Wasp.
But they recast Cassie Lang, though.
Yeah, so they recasted her as the girl that was supposed to play Tony Stark's daughter, I believe.
I know the girl who plays Cassie now, who just got casted as her, she is in that slasher movie with, that comedy slasher movie with, what's his name? Shit.
Oh, Vince Vaughn. It's
Vince Vaughn,
Freaky.
yeah. Yeah, I think that's her. I don't know if she actually did play adult.
Oh, no, you know what? I might be thinking of somebody else, because it's not on Wikipedia. She was also in Detective Pikachu. She was the female lead.
Yeah. Which, I think it's silly that they recast her.
But, I mean, like, I get it, because, like, that scene at the end was very much just, like, a quick little, hey!
Well, she's in, like, he goes to his house and sees her, and then finds out that he's dead. Like, she wasn't just in the very end. She was, like, in a midpoint of Endgame as well. Like, yeah, it was, like, 3 scenes that she was in total, but she was still, like, a casted, named character.
Oh, you know what it is? Both of the people are named Catherine.
Okay.
That's why I thought it was the same actress.
Okay.
I don't know, like, maybe the girl that played her in Endgame either didn't want to do it, or just wasn't quite, like, an actor enough to do it.
I mean, she tweeted out and posted that she is upset, but she's going to keep acting, but she didn't know that she wasn't going to be Cassie until they made the announcement.
I mean, that sucks.
Yeah.
But, like, there's probably a reason for it, though.
I'm sure. I just think it's silly, that's all.
Honestly, if you hadn't said something, I would have never even realized it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So that's happening. They confirmed that Miss Marvel and Monica Rambeau will both appear in Captain Marvel 2.
Who's Monica Rambeau?
So she was the little girl from Captain Marvel 1. Her, like Captain Marvel's, like, best friend's daughter.
Oh, right.
So that kind of confirms that Captain Marvel 2 is happening in, like, present day.
Yeah.
But yeah, she would be all grown up now.
Okay.
Apparently, from what they said on there, and I didn't realize this in the trailer they showed, Monica is actually in WandaVision also.
I haven't watched any of the trailers for WandaVision. I kind of want to keep that.
So the only actual trailer I've seen was the one they showed as part of this.
Yeah.
But honestly, like, it was so disjointed and crazy that I still have no fucking clue what it's about. But I'm more interested in it now than I was before, and I was already pretty interested.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if WandaVision is how Monica gets her powers.
What are Monica's powers?
She can, like, not control light, but she can become, like, different types of energy.
Okay.
Yeah, like her superhero name now is Spectrum, if I remember correctly. She was actually the first person to be Captain Marvel after Marvel died, though.
Okay.
But and also the fact that they're going to have Miss Marvel in this is cool because that character sort of, not even sort of, like 100% based her identity on Carol.
Yeah.
So, they also gave us a little Doctor Strange info. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It's going to connect to the third Spider-Man movie, which that fits with all these reports of like the old cast showing up.
Sure does.
And also it's already filming over in the UK, so that's good news. And they confirmed, and I have no idea how to pronounce this girl's name. Zochiti Gomez, maybe.
Probably, maybe.
She's been cast as America Chavez, who is Miss America in the comics. She is from an alternate universe. Her power is she can punch and kick holes in reality, so she can actually like traverse the multiverse and like travel like from point A to point B through like a portal.
Okay.
I'm also pretty sure she can fly and has super strength. She's been on like the New Avengers, the West Coast Avengers, like those sorts of teams.
Yeah.
Then they announced Christian Bale is going to be the villain of Thor: Love and Thunder, playing Gore the God Butcher.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. That's a pretty cool character too. He was in Jason Aaron's run. Like a younger Thor fought him, and I believe actually they fought him again as an older Thor. But ended up being kind of the final villain that Jane Foster Thor fought. He basically destroys all of Asgard, which already got done in the last movie.
Yeah.
And then in order to beat him, they actually she throws Mjolnir into the sun and like causes like an explosion that also kills him. So I don't know how they're going to do that because Mjolnir's also dead. But
I mean, how are they going to give Jane Foster Thor's powers because the hammer's destroyed?
I mean, that's a good question. That's a damn good question.
Yeah.
And the last thing for Marvel is they confirmed that they are not going to recast T'Challa for Black Panther.
Which I'm happy to hear. Like, give the mantle of Black Panther to somebody else and have T'Challa be a character that's done in honor of Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah, exactly. So some of the others, like...
Well, so, here's my thing. Seeing all of these MCU announcements, I mean, a lot of them are shows.
Yes.
I kind of have a feeling that, like... And back, we covered this a little bit a few months ago. They had said that they're going to be putting more focus on Disney Plus, and they're less of a focus on the huge theatrical releases and more of a focus on Disney Plus. Kind of seems to me that they're going like what I'm going to call the comic book route, and they're going to have all these series. Currently, for contractual obligations, they're going to continue to make the films that they have contracted out. But pretty soon, they're going to stop making as many films and just do the big team-up films, and that's it.
I don't think so.
I also disagree.
If theaters come back, like, if there is a time in 12 months where people are just readily going to movie theaters again and they haven't all just shuttered, those movies, like, every Marvel movie at this point basically makes $1 billion. They're going to keep pushing out those movies until they stop making $1 billion. But from what they were saying in the shareholder meeting, this meeting in particular was all about direct-to-consumer content.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, like, they mention movies and stuff in here because they know people care about the movies. But they didn't really mention much about, like, other movies that we know are confirmed either. Like, we didn't really hear anything about Black Widow or Eternals, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, like this whole thing was very much a Disney Plus press conference, or not press conference, shareholder event, with just like, and here are some of our theatrical releases, but frankly, we don't know what theaters are going to look like, so like everything is direct to consumer right now.
But like they made a point to say at the beginning of this thing, like, we will be releasing all of our movies in theaters. Like, we're not going, basically straight up saying, we're not going the WB HBO route. Everything that we have to be released will be releasing in theaters, which, to be honest, bums me out, because that means I'm going to have to wait longer to see Black Widow and any of the other movies, because I'm not going to the movies until, at the earliest, probably September, October next.
Which
like,
is valid.
And so, like, if Black Widow comes out in March, I'm not seeing it, and it's probably not gonna be out on Blu-ray, rental, or anything for at least 2 to 3 months. So, like, it kind of, like, bums me out a bit. And so, like, to me, it seems like when they said that we're not gonna be doing the whole, like, moving everything just to our streaming service, I kept getting this feeling, and I still feel like they're like, we want to focus on Disney Plus, we want to focus on consumer base on Disney Plus, and get people to come to Disney Plus, and subscribe. So why not just put everything on Disney Plus, and then the big events, like the Avengers, the big events, the End Games, the Infinity Wars, like, that'll go out on in theaters, like, and it's something where, like, maybe you don't have to know everything about every character and watch every series, and it's an all-encompassing thing that people are going to want to see, and all the super nerds are going to want to definitely go see it. It seems like that's what they were kind of building up with this.
No, but look at it this way. Why would they stop making the movies and putting them in theaters for $1 billion box office and then put these things onto Disney Plus, where maybe they're making $100 million out of it, but that's just from subscriptions that maybe people aren't really subscribed to just for that. It makes more sense for them at least, like, keep making these series to keep their subscriptions going and keep growing the subscriptions, but then also keep making $1 billion every 4 months with a new movie.
Yeah,
like, they don't give a fuck about us. They want to make money.
I know. It's just, like I said, it's just the vibe I got. I think it would be cool if they did it. I understand if they don't do it if they don't do it that way. But, like, it's just, like I said, it's really mostly just, like, I got the vibe of, like, because they've said outright that they want to focus more on production for Disney Plus and less on theatrical production and big release production. That's just, like, it's the vibe I've been getting.
But I don't remember ever hearing them say that they're not focusing on theatrical releases.
It was a few months ago. Like, we did talk, like, there was a Disney announcement, that, like, came between episodes that, like, it was before, so late after an episode, but it was announced on a Thursday, and, like, we kind of forgot about it, but I did hear the basis of it. I'll look it up
look that up, because I honestly don't remember that at all. And, like, that just seems crazy to me, because, like, WB, like, their movies make money, but their movies don't make Marvel money or Star Wars money, really. Like, even the bad Star Wars movies made a lot of money.
This is CNBC. Disney says its primary focus for entertainment is streaming and announces a major reorganization. And this was in October, actually. On Monday, the company revealed that in order to further accelerate its direct-to-consumer strategy, it would be centralizing its media businesses into a single organization that would be responsible for content distribution, ad sales, and Disney+. This is from CNBC, like I said, if I didn't say it already.
Yeah, I don't know. That just seems more like a reaction to pandemic and theaters not existing than something that they would do long-term. Like, that's just me.
Shares of the company jumped more than 5% during after-hours trading following the announcement. The move by Disney comes as a global coronavirus pandemic has crippled its blah, blah, blah. The rest of it is about pandemic.
Yeah. So, like, it's just, like, WB doing this, and I mean, like we talked about last week, like, WB was getting a lot of backlash from a lot of different places for that, but, like, frankly, they want HBO Max to thrive, and their movies don't make the same amount of money that a Marvel movie does. So, like, they're not taking as much of a hit on the box office by not releasing it in the box office.
But the backlash that WB is taking is because they announced it without discussion towards all of their investors and people that, like, are owed, for instance, Gal Gadot, she's not going to get as much money for Wonder Woman 1984 because she gets money based on the theatrical sales and less on like actually working there. Like she's
Wait, does she actually have like a points contract?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Good for her.
And there's other other production companies within WB that are losing out on money, and these contracts that are losing out because they're doing a day-to-day release for both streaming and theater. People are going to lose money, not just WB, like the actors, actresses, and production assistants and producers and stuff.
They're just not making as much money. They're not losing money. Fuck
that. Yeah, but like that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, these Marvel movies, they make big bucks, but like I said back in October, their primary focus on entertainment is streaming. So,
yeah, but that's just,
how
they're going
much
to keep making new series. They're not going to start putting their movies on Disney Plus.
Well, like I said, I didn't say they're going to put their movies on Disney Plus. They're going to
stop making.
No, I didn't say they're going to stop making movies. They're going to focus on more series and make the big events in theater. So instead of getting 3-4 Marvel movies in a year, maybe we'll only get 2, but they're the big events that everyone's going to go see.
See, I don't see them because they're not going to do a Spider-Man series on Disney Plus. They're not going to do a Black Panther series. They're going to keep releasing them as movies, and then also like they're going to do the Fantastic Four movie. They got somebody else back recently too? They got Daredevil back. Daredevil's not going to get another movie. Let's be realistic. I hope he gets another series, but he's not going to get another. Who else? I know. I guess all the other good ones are at X-Men. That's right. Yeah, they got X-Men back. Like, they're definitely going to do an X-Men movie.
Well, and yeah, like, I'm not saying they're not making movies. I'm just saying they're...
The way that you worded it, it sounded like you were saying they're going to do Avengers movies, but they're not going to do solo hero movies.
No, like, Fantastic Four, they get a movie, and then maybe push them to a series following that. And then if there's a big event, they'll have the Fantastic Four and everyone else in the big events. Like how comics do, like, all the comics have their own personal comics where they're their own thing, but then with the big event, they all coincide and work with each other, and that's like the double issue is going to be the movie, or the triple issue, or whatever it is. Like,
I mean, maybe they also have movies announced through 2025 at this point.
Yeah, and like I said, like at the beginning, it's like contractual obligations are going to continue making movies when the contracts are said to be done, but like introduce the Fantastic Four as a movie, and then maybe move them to your streaming service that you're really trying to push and provide entertainment on. Like we already know they do great production value in these series based on Mandalorian. Like it's the vibe I've been getting. Like I said, that's all. That's the vibe I've been getting based on like what I've read and what I've seen.
Until like things go back to normal and the movies to make $1 billion again, and they go, never mind, fuck all that.
Sure. Yeah, sure. But
if things don't bounce back, or if the theaters start closing, though, like, yeah, you are actually probably right. Like, they will transition everything to Disney Plus and maybe release like 1 or 2 movies like every other year.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I would not have a problem with like spending the added fee to get like the movies at like what they did with the shitty Mulan. Like, I wouldn't have a problem with that as long as the fee is reasonable. Like a one-time fee to be able to always watch whatever Marvel movie. Like, I would not have a problem with it.
Yeah, like you said, it depends on the cost.
Mm-hmm.
Like, frankly, like $30 is a little much. Like, I won't even spend $30 on like purchasing a movie. Like,
yeah.
If I buy a Blu-ray, I buy it for $20 or less. Usually much less. And same thing like digital. Like, I will never spend $30 on a digital copy of a movie. Fuck that.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's wrap up the rest of this Disney stuff real quick. Indiana Jones 5 is in pre-production. It's scheduled for a 2022 release with Harrison Ford. I don't think this is ever happening, but
I don't know. Like, Indiana Jones, like,
the last one was not very good, but the first 3 are very good.
Yeah. He's so old to be Indiana Jones.
I mean, yes, but like at the same time, like, think about those movies. Like, he didn't really do a lot of like stunts.
No, he didn't.
Like, he was actually very much like an everyman. Like, he could use a whip, and like that was it. Like he got into some fist fights that did not go super well for him.
Yeah.
they announced an Aliens series at FX by Noah Hawley, who does the Fargo series. And apparently Ridley Scott is in.
Well, that's sweet. That's pretty cool.
So they're saying it's going to be a blend of the sci-fi horror thriller of the original film, but with the action of the second film.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then this one I actually thought was actually pretty interesting. They're making a Toy Story prequel movie called Buzz Lightyear. It's the origin of Buzz Lightyear, the character, not the toy.
Okay.
But it is not being voiced by Tim Allen. It's going to be voiced by Chris Evans. It's weird, right?
That is weird because I don't think Tim Allen has done any negative things lately. Like, why wouldn't?
Depends what you mean by negative things. He's a super hardcore Trump.
Well, yes, he is a super hardcore Trump guy, but like, you don't see him in the news saying racist things. Like he has his political beliefs, sure, but like he's not. It doesn't seem like he's being active on it in a way. If you get what I'm saying. No,
I mean I know what you mean. Like you don't see like news articles and stuff like. Yeah. Well, Tim Allen's out there doing this again.
Like, and I will. What's her name? Hold on, I'm scrolling up because I gotta find it because we have 35 pages. The girl who plays Cara Dune. I thought her name was in here.
Oh, Gina Carano.
Gina Carano? She sucks.
Oh yeah, no, she's super shitty.
She's super shitty, super Republican, Trumpy, thinks that the coronavirus is fake, and all this stuff, and is just terrible. But, like, if you're gonna keep her, why not get Tim Allen, who, he's super Trump, but...
So, I mean, two things. Tim Allen may have just not wanted to do it. Because they did just do Toy Story 4 that had him in it.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just think this is... Also, I mean, he's got enough money probably from the Toy Story movies and his long-running TV series that, like, maybe he just doesn't want to do Buzz Lightyear again.
And it also, like, and this is dumb, it's the character Buzz Lightyear and not the toy Buzz Lightyear. Absolutely possible that they have two separate voices.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. But yeah, so we got that. They are doing 2 spin-off series on Disney Plus for Tiana from A Frog Princess and Moana from Moana.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
They also announced that the live-action Pinocchio with Tom Hanks is going to go direct to Disney Plus. They didn't give a date or anything. They didn't give a date or other info on their other movies, like Cruella or the Peter Pan, that are going to be coming out. But they showed a little bit of Cruella on the thing. That movie actually looks like it might be pretty good.
Yeah.
And Rich, you actually mentioned this one because you saw this. Raya and the Last Dragon is coming to the Disney Plus Premiere Access.
Yeah.
I hadn't even heard of this movie, but it actually looks like it might be pretty cool.
It looks really cool in my opinion. Like I don't know, the animation looks really cool. The story looks super interesting.
Yeah, it's a Disney animation studio film, so it's not like Pixar or anything like that. Same people that did like Tangled and Frozen and Wreck-It Ralph and all those. But yeah, on March 5th, it'll be in theaters, and you can also pay a premium amount of money to watch it on Disney Plus. They did not say how much money, but
yeah,
hopefully not 30.
I mean, they got super backlash from Mulan, but also Mulan was bad, and the actress sucks. So no one really cared for that one. This is actually looks like a decent movie to where, I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised if they did 30.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they did it too. I just hope they don't, because I would like to watch this, but I'm not, like I said before, I'm not spending $30 on it.
Yeah.
So, Rich, you mentioned this actually quite a while ago. Always Sunny in Philadelphia was renewed for 4 more seasons. Mm-hmm. If it makes it to season 18, it will be the longest live-action sitcom in TV history.
What's the current?
I honestly don't know. I didn't look it up. But like, I think that's pretty impressive. I'm trying to think, like, what could it be?
Huh. How many seasons?
18 will make it the longest TV sitcom.
A TV sitcom that ran for 8, jeez.
Or 17.
Well, yeah, that's
like,
probably gotta be.
It's gotta be something from like the 70s or 80s. Maybe even earlier than that.
How long?
Okay. So, you guys won't know it.
Alright.
It is, Ozzie and Harriet.
Oh, I know what Ozzie and Harriet is.
And I wouldn't have, because it's a comedy variety show that ran from the 50s through the 60s. And that
I've never seen it, but I know what it is.
Yeah. That had 14 seasons.
That can't be right then, because they said like literally the way that it was worded that I saw is if it hits 18, it'll be the longest sitcom.
This is according to entertainment.ie. It's this was 4 years ago. Where it says the comedy series will now run for an unprecedented 14 seasons, making it tied with Ozzie and Harriet. So yeah, the next closest contenders, 2.5 Men, which ran for 12 seasons. Cheers, Frasier, and Married with Children all ran for 11. So yeah, it would. So it's signing up. It's signing for these 4 new ones. Makes it the longest running.
Yeah, because like I forgot how long some shows actually ran. Like Married with Children was on for 10 years. Cheers was on for 11 years. Frasier was on for 11 years.
Man, he got 22 years off that character, huh?
Oh shit! Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Was he in all of Cheers?
I'm pretty sure.
If not all,
no, he wasn't brought in until like the second, maybe halfway through the second or third season.
Okay, 20 years.
Still, yeah, he was in for most of Cheers.
I didn't realize he didn't start until a little later. He is also not as old as I feel like he should be. He's only 65. I feel like he was 50 in 1993 when Frasier started.
So his character dated what's Kirstie Alley? Is that her name? I think. Yeah,
Kirstie Alley.
Kirstie Alley. His character dated Kirstie Alley's character in like second or third season, so he wasn't. Yeah, no. He didn't date. No, he was in the entire series because
no, he wasn't. He joined Cheers in 1984.
Okay,
but I mean, still, like that is most of the series.
Yeah,
he was in 203 episodes of Cheers and 263 episodes of Frasier.
Yeah,
like. That's a lot of fucking episodes. Plus, he was Frasier Crane in other things. He starred as Frasier Crane in an episode of Wings.
Yeah.
And a couple other TV specials for stuff.
Because all those sitcoms back in the day, like, they would intertwine and be like a, quote, conjoined universe.
Yeah, I mean, TGIF on ABC, they had that one Halloween where Salem the cat from Sabrina fucked up the time for everybody. And, like, Sabrina and Salem popped up in every show that night. Where, like, Boy Meets World ended up being like a World War II drama for an episode.
Yeah.
Sorry, let me jump back to the list. Where were we? So, yeah, Always Sunny, Mighty Ducks, Chip and Dale, Big Hero 6, and Zootopia series are all coming to, Disney+.
So, when they announced Chip and Dale, I saw somebody make a, meme, and it was,
Rescue Rangers of the New Republic?
Yeah, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers of the New Republic.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
They showed a clip from the Mighty Ducks. We've known that was coming for a while, and that Emilio Estevez was going to be in it. But I didn't know exactly how they were going to handle it. So the Mighty Ducks are now the shitty team. Like, not like the poorly playing team. Like, they're the assholes. Yeah, they're the Hawks. Exactly.
They're taking the Cobra Kai way of thinking. Like, Cobra Kai was, like, the good guys during the first season. And then, like, they kind of became dicks after that.
So in this one, the sort of ragtag kids that want to play hockey can't because they can't get on the team because the Mighty Ducks are the elite team.
Yeah.
And then, one of their moms, who's the mom from Gilmore Girls and Bad Santa, and she wasn't a mom in Bad Santa, but she was in Bad Santa, goes to, like, this rundown fucking ice rink that just happens to be owned and run by Emilio Estevez. And he is jaded and angry, which means he probably, like, lost touch with all the ducks and forgot what it means to, like, fly in a V or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see what they do with that show. Like, are they going to try and pull in a bunch of cameos from, like, some of the people that are still acting?
Yeah.
They also confirmed, like, 100% that Hocus Pocus 2 was happening.
Woo.
And there's apparently going to be a Percy Jackson, but I didn't catch if it was going to be a movie or a series.
I'm not sure, I haven't seen it either. Going along with that, like, apparently rumored thing, there's apparently rumored to be some form of, Firefly Serenity type reboot coming as well.
Nope. Also, isn't that owned by Fox?
Would they not have gotten it?
Yeah.
No, like Fox?
Oh, fuck, right. They own Fox.
Yeah. That's not Sony they own Fox.
Yeah, right.
Which you had me second guessing that when you asked that. I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, good call. Good call, Drew.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll happen.
Look,
it would be cool, but
when people say things with such confidence, it always makes me second guess.
But but the Percy Jackson thing could be neat. Like those two movies were fun. Like
I liked the first one. I never got to see the second one.
Second one wasn't bad.
And I was super interested in the series, but like at the time I wasn't sure how appropriate it would be for me, an adult man, to read a young adult / teen book.
I mean, let's be real, most of the young adult books are read by adults anyway.
Yeah. So like I probably could get into them, but I'll wait for the series. Or
and
maybe
really, like,
maybe borrow it from my friend's 12-year-old son.
There you go. But yeah, so that was all the Disney investor stuff. And then actually, real quick before we get into the last thing, did you guys see the Tom Cruise rant?
I heard that he went off on his on people from the Mission Impossible 7 breaking quarantine.
So they didn't break quarantine. They were breaking social distancing while on set. Like apparently, like they were like huddled around like a computer screen looking at stuff. I don't know if they were wearing masks or not. But like he was apparently very angry. I didn't actually listen to the audio, but I saw like some blurbs from it. Like he was basically telling like everybody on set, like if they don't follow the guidelines, they're gone. Like they're not putting the production and every other person at like on the set at risk because they don't care.
You know what? I don't. I need to read more into it. I thought it was like they were breaking quarantine and leaving. Like I don't know if they bubble themselves to make these movies or what it is for this movie. But like I thought they were breaking the bubble.
So apparently Tom Cruise actually went pretty hard on getting that shit right. From what I was reading, and like one article was saying like he apparently out of his own pocket bought like a decommissioned cruise ship for the cast and crew to quarantine on for like the 2 weeks or whatever, so that they could like safely make the movie. Because I guess what's the other movie? Oh, Top Gun, the Top Gun movie he was working on. Apparently, like at one point, like 24 people were confirmed COVID positive while filming that.
Yeah.
But like in his rant, he's like, "This isn't about me. Like, this is about all the jobs. Like, there are people back in Hollywood that are losing their homes because they can't work. Like, if you people fuck this up, like, you're gone. You're not fucking this up for this whole industry."
No, like, normally I look at a celebrity outbreak and I'm like, come on. Like, what's his name? Christian Bale. But for this, I'm like, you know what? I feel you, bro. I kind of get it.
Yeah, like, apparently Tom Cruise is kind of a shitty person, like, in his personal life, and that sucks. But, like, at least he's got, like, the right mindset for this. It's like, just do what you're supposed to do. Like, it's not that hard. Yeah. Like, if he's walking around, like, wearing a mask, keeping his distance, fucking do it, too.
Well, the problem is Xeno doesn't let him get in any medicine, so, like, if he gets sick, he gets sick. There's nothing he can do.
No, but see, that's the fucking thing. Like, he believes in a fucking space alien that fucking creates mental illness. Why wouldn't you listen to this guy when he's actually afraid of something?
Exactly.
Speaking of alien monsters, this week, Rich, you watched Destroy All Monsters.
Yeah, I watched Destroy All Monsters on, again, HBO Max, which, real quick, HBO Max is finally on the PlayStation 5 now after 3 weeks, so I'm pretty happy. But yeah, Destroy All Monsters, it was a culmination of all the monsters from this, all the monsters that Godzilla has fought, and then some, in this movie, and it is probably the weirdest but easily received movie so far, because it starts off, it takes place near the end of the 20th century. So, like, if you look up on Wiki, it's like, it takes place the year 1999, which is
like, this jumps way into the future.
Way into the future. Like, the beginning of the movie, they already have Monster Island established, and ways to keep the monsters on Monster Island. And so Godzilla, Manila, and all the other, like, Rodan, Mothra, Dara, I had a list of them, I was looking at them earlier today, like, there's, like, 11 monsters or something like that. They're just all on this island, and they found a way to keep them on there, and, like, there's this whole, aquaculture study to breed more fish to be able to feed the planet, because they have to bring some form of, like, eco issue into these films, or just political issue into these films. But right off the bat, everything just starts, and shit just hits the fan right away, which is, like, a lot different than a lot more of these other, like, the previous films, where, like, it kind of has a slow build, or, like, they build up to something over the course of 45 minutes, and then the next half hour is them dealing with Godzilla, and then the last 15 minutes is them just ending it all and finishing the series, or the movie. Like, this one is just, like, straight up, before the, credits even roll, here's, like, there's, humans are going to space every day, to their moon base. And then the credits roll. Which is something I haven't talked about to you guys. Did you, like, I don't know if it's all older movies. At least all these older Japanese movies, the credits roll first.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, so the credits roll, and then, like, the movie ends at the end of the movie. There's no credits after, there's no, like title card or anything afterwards. The movie ends. That's it.
I feel like that's probably, like, a Japanese movie thing. Because I've seen old, like, American movies.
Yeah.
They have credits in the beginning, because that's actually, like, a SAG, like, requirement. But, like, the actual credits are at the end of the movie still.
Yeah, no, they don't have credits. So, like, as right before the credits roll, it's like, humans are going into space every day, flying to their moon base. And then, the credits roll, and then they talk about the aquaculture, study and Monster Island, and then shit just hits the fan with aliens attacking the study and taking over the monsters, and then they're just attacking everything. I had to actually watch this a second time today, like, during work, because I was slightly hungover and falling asleep when I was watching it on Sunday. So I rewatched it just to, like, see what I missed, and I missed quite a few things. The aliens that, like, attack the planet, can only survive in extreme heat. So, when they get cold, they form into small rocks, which is weird. The human fight scenes with guns and stuff are just comical, which is great. And the human deaths are just very 60s, 70s, 80s. Like, somebody gets shot, like, they're kneeling down behind a shelf, and somebody shoots at them, and they stand up with blood already covering their stomach.
That's weird.
Yeah, so, like they're shooting, and then they get shot, and they're like, and they stand up, and they're covered, but they're already kneeling. How did they get shot? And then somebody, this is the best one. I've seen it twice now, because I was awake both times. They get shot in the head, where, like, they move their head back, and then look towards the camera, and there's a red spot in their head, and then they, like, plump up their cheeks, cross their eyes, and then slowly make their way down. It was the weirdest thing and the funniest death ever. Like, it's so ridiculous, like, how they do, like, human deaths. At one point, somebody, jumps off of a building, and so they show it, and they end up just throwing a stiff dummy off the building. And you can obviously tell it's a dummy. The hands don't flail, it doesn't, like, nothing shakes, it's just the dummy is just stiff and drops. And it was like, I'm like, oh my god, this is so bad, it's good. It's ridiculous. The whole movie, ends with, the humans figuring out how the aliens were mind controlling the monsters, and then using that ability against the aliens, where somehow the aliens just had the ability to summon King Ghidorah, because why not, I guess. So, like, it's weird, the movie's called Destroy All Monsters, but there's only one monster that gets destroyed, and it's Ghidorah. And it is the probably most brutal monster death ever seen in these movies. Like, in the first Godzilla, or in the second one, Godzilla Raids Again, I believe is what it was called, or Godzilla Raids, he fights Angurius, and the way he kills him is he kicks him over and just shoots him with his atomic breath until he burns. Which, that's pretty brutal. It's pretty brutal. And then there's, like, some other, like, scene deaths where, like, Godzilla shoots his atomic breath at, like, one of the giant, insects from, Son of Godzilla, and they just kind of turn into flames, and they're dead. But this is, like, at one point, Angurius is chomping on Ghidorah's neck, and you see red, and he's bleeding. They knock Ghidorah down, and Godzilla just starts stomping on one of his other necks, and you start to see blood shooting out of Ghidorah's mouth.
Jesus.
Yes, like, that is brutal. It was rough, like, and you're hearing Ghidorah cry and scream because he's dying, and you're kind of feeling bad for him, because it's Ghidorah versus 4 fucking monsters. Let's see, it was, Godzilla, Anguirus, Barragan, so 3 monsters, while Mothra and, Kukugara, which I think that's its name, is a spider, are shooting their webs or their silks at him. And it's just, oh my god, it's brutal. It is so brutal. It was the weirdest thing. Like, the toys or the models that they use were great in this one. They have a spaceship that can just easily fly around, even though it only has rockets on its butt. So, like, it can make itself go from flat to or from vertical to horizontal with no problem. It's so funny and so weird. I loved it. I loved it so much. I like, one thing that's, like, you might find this funny is, Anguirus is, he's modeled after a dinosaur. He's got a spiky back, a long snout, like an alligator type snout. And he's quadrupedal. He walks around on 4 legs. But because it's a person in a costume, he walks around on his hands and knees.
I mean, at least that's better than, like, a person trying to walk on, like, his hands and his feet.
So, like, when he runs, they do, like, put him up on his back feet, and he, like, kinda gallops, but he doesn't really touch the ground with his front feet. But, like, it's still funny because, like, the monster itself is walking around on his hands and knees. And it's not the only crawling monster that does that. So it made me laugh. The other issue I have with it is poor Mothra gets, like, no glory. He has been like the worm state, the people state, for more of these Godzilla movies than he has been the Moth state.
I believe Mothra is a she.
She, yeah. But you know what I'm saying. Like, she's been pupae more than Moth.
That's also weird if she's still in that thing, if this movie takes place, like, decades later.
Exactly. Unless, like, I believe Mothra's lore is, like, every time she's about to die, she lays an egg. Because that's what a moth is. Like, their life is eating when they're, like, the worms. And then when they become, like the moth, that it's their job is to breed and lay eggs, and then they're dead. They do not eat as a moth.
Really?
Yeah. So
I did not know that.
Yeah. So, like, they do nothing but eat as in the pupal state, and then they turn into their moth form or their butterfly or whatever, and then, like, this is what a friend had told me, and, like, their main focus is just reproduce, find a place to reproduce, mate, and lay eggs. So, like, I feel like that's kind of, like, the reason why Mothra is more often, like, a worm or the pupal state is because, like, maybe it's going in between the Mothra movies being released, because there are a ton of Mothra movies that, like...
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Like, released between, and so, like, maybe they couldn't get the costumes or whatever as well. I don't know, but, like, I feel bad for Mothra, because, like, I love Mothra, and you get to see her twice in these movies, and once it was the pre-Mothra after she had laid the egg, and then she died, and her 2 kids floated away. One of them survived, and then it wasn't until 2 movies later where Mothra was the moth again, and that was fighting Ebera, and that just, like, Godzilla ended up kind of fighting her a bit before, like, she just flew away or something. I can't remember. I did not like Ebera, so I didn't pay a lot of attention to it. But this one, it was great. I'm glad I rewatched it, because I missed quite a bit from having had fallen asleep. And it's worth the watch. Like I said, it's one of the most direct films where it just basically goes right into it. There's no, like, build up or anything. Like, Godzilla is seen almost immediately on screen right at the beginning. And, like, the monsters are kind of constantly on screen in this one. It's good.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything else?
Nope.
Nope. Except I'm probably going to skip All Monsters Attack, which is supposed to be the next one in the film.
Why?
Filmography. Number one, it's not available anywhere. And number two, apparently it all takes place inside some kid's head.
Oh, that's stupid.
Yeah, I've read, like, it is more about a kid who's being bullied and lives with his mom and is, like, has no friends, and less about Godzilla, and it all ends up being in his head.
Yeah, no, that's reasonable to skip.
Yeah, but it's more because I can't find it anywhere. It's not on YouTube, it's not on, HBO Max. It's, like, if I Google it, it doesn't say it's available on Amazon. I haven't looked on Amazon to see if I can buy it, but from what I hear, it's not that good anyway, so I don't really want to pay for it.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, if I can't find a reasonable way to watch it, my next movie is Godzilla vs. Hedorah.
All right, then. So I guess, one way or the other, you're talking about one of those movies next week.
Yes.
All right. Well, in that case, that will do it for this week's episode. If you'd like to find more of our content, you can head over to www.one-quest.com. You can also help us out by supporting us at patreon.com/onequest. If you can't support us there with dollars, you can always go to your favorite podcast platform, like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Amazon Music. Rate us, review us, subscribe to us. All those things help. You can also find us on social media. We're at facebook.com/onequestonline or at @1_quest on Instagram and Twitter. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/onequestvideo. And you can send us emails to social@one-quest.com. Otherwise, we'll be back next week with something else to talk about. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.